Hello out there. Yes, this is Spirit Journey and good evening. Good evening. Yes, we should be streaming live now. Yes, we have, we're going to interview a special guest. His name is Tony Rodrigues, and he is going to share some very, very interesting information, personal experiences of him. And he'll be arriving shortly. I was just speaking to him, so let me just put something on. Okay, just checking everything. Yeah, let me. Any of you who are live now, let me know if you cannot hear me. Okay. Also, what I'm doing now, okay. Yes, yes, hello everyone. As you see on the screen here, I have
Hello.
Yes, could you hear me, Tony?
Yes.
Yes. Hello, viewers. This is Spirit Journey, and as promised, and I apologize for the time delay. Um, yes, I have here Mr. Tony Rodrigues, who is going to share some very, very provocative experiences that he incurred growing up. And the reason what I should also say is that the reason, well, I'm going to be we're going to be discussing about what they call the secret space program, and how in this program they are kidnapping people and enslaving them to do a lot of different types of work. And this is a whole new genre for me. And I just really learned about these type of experiences maybe a year and a half ago. And in this, when I first heard of it, I really didn't take the subject very seriously. But I would say the last 4 months, I really started to be attracted to the subject of it, because it started tricking, making me aware of some things I felt was latent in my personal life. I think it was triggering a memory in me. And I've shared before in my videos on my channel that uh, I feel like certain times of my life, like from age like 4 or 5, I felt there was a big piece missing. And the more I started learning about the secret space program and what they call this super soldier program, I started thinking, could this have been affecting my life? And when I heard Mr. Tony Rodrigues' experiences, I think I first heard of Mr. Tony Rodrigues about 2.5 months ago. And I was just compelled with his story. And I said, I really want to understand myself more. And I want my viewers, many of my viewers are members of the Black community. And what Mr. Tony Rodrigues is going to discuss will, I think, interest this viewership. And I personally think that what happened to what Mr. Tony Rodrigues is going to talk about, that I'm wondering, is this happening to the Black community, the African community, the West Indian community, Latin American community, and world community? So this is all about informing people uh, of all communities. And so I introduce again Mr. Tony Rodrigues, and I'd like you, Mr. Tony Rodrigues, to introduce yourself, what people should know about you, what you want people to know about you as it pertains to your experiences with being kidnapped. You could say, you know, where you were born, your siblings, parents.
I'll try to be quick about it because it's a long story. I mean, I've chewed up 2 hours before. You know, I try to give as many the details are what I use to try to prove it.
Okay.
You know what I mean? For people, I try to give people as many details as I can so that they can believe it. Because it's hard for me to believe it myself.
Okay.
To be honest, you know, but I can see it in my head what happened.
Okay.
But I'll try to sum it up really quick.
Okay.
If some people aren't aware, there are starting to be disclosures about a secret space program that happened around World War II. That the Germans discovered space flight, and when they did, they discovered not one or two, but many species living in our solar system of intelligent beings.
Wow.
Like kind of like us. They found reptoids and the greys, and there are intelligent insects that live in our solar system, and there are intelligent beings that are far more advanced than us that live underground in giant underground caverns. And what happened was the Germans found those early factions of the German government, and they broke away. They became a breakaway civilization where they moved into Antarctica, into giant caverns in Antarctica under the ice, and found ancient technologies.
Wow.
And then they moved into bodies in the backside of the moon. They set a base there. They went to Mars. They started colonizing Mars, and they've colonized other bodies in our solar system by going inside them and building basically large underground cities.
Okay.
Yeah. So now they're to the point where after 50 years of that, they're to the point where they really don't use the Earth for much. Earth is more like resources, and then they have all their high tech stuff off world in what's called a breakaway civilization. So if the Earth ceased to exist, if the Earth, everybody on the Earth died today, there would still be German colonies. There are United States colonies up there. There's the United Nations space program. There's a Chinese one. I've heard talk of a Japanese space program. And but they're all beginning to colonize our solar system and nearby stars.
Wow.
So if anybody doesn't know about that, that happened. And you can look that up. The exopolitics.org, Dr. Sala, who was the first researcher I worked with, is a really good resource for that if you want to start digging.
Okay.
That'll link you to everything else.
What is the term, just for our audience, since this is a new genre for my viewers, what is what do you call exopolitics?
Exopolitics would
what
be,
is that?
Dr. Sala coined that, would be we have politics amongst us.
Yes.
We have relationships with other species.
Okay.
That would be an exo or an extraterrestrial, an ET.
Okay.
Those are exopolitics, how you get along. So exopolitics.org is his website, and there's a lot of great info there.
Okay.
What happened to me personally was that when I was a kid, 9 years old, about 1981, 82, in fourth grade, I went to school with a kid.
Okay.
And he said his dad was an Illuminati. He said it matter of fact, my dad's an Illuminati. What's your dad do?
Okay, so he's showing off.
He was showing off, and so I started showing off back, and we didn't get along.
Yes.
Long story short, his dad came into school and was the judge of the science fair that year.
Wow.
And when I walked by them, that in the cafeteria, he said, "Dad, that's it." I kind of picked on him a little bit.
Okay. And I like the story, how you started. I thought if it's okay for you to explain, because it's showing this individual's mindset and his own insecurities, and his insecurities affected your life for 20 years. You had mentioned in a prior interview that he and some girls are in a room, and he was showing off that he had this ability. I would like yes.
Okay, so we met. What it was I was in the talented and gifted program, which was the top 5% of the kids in the school in fourth grade.
Okay.
And so we met every Wednesday, it was right before lunch. It was 10 a.m. And then we'd go to the library from our class, and then we'd go to that, and then we'd go back to lunch, and then go back to our normal class.
Okay.
But all those top kids we met in the library, and we learned advanced learning stuff, basically just how to research things. And we did essays and whatever. It was advanced learning. Anyhow, so he was in that program, and I went there one day early. We were, I think it was 10 minutes early before we were supposed to be there. and it's when we met in the library of our elementary school, and they're sitting on the couch.
Yes.
Him and maybe four girls, and they were all laughing. They were having a great time. So I walked over. I wanted to see what it was, and then they were. They said, do it to him, do it to him, do it to Tony. And the one girl, and I heard what they said. Like he said something like purple, and he said horses or something like that, and they all started laughing.
Okay.
But he was reading her mind, and they said he was like, no, I'm not going to do it. I'm done.
Okay.
And the one girl said, no, do it to Tony. And another girl said, look, he can read your mind. Just think of something. He'll tell you what it is.
Wow.
And I didn't believe that.
Okay.
And for the life of I was 9, you know.
Okay.
And I thought, there's no way that's possible. So I looked at him, and of course I didn't like him. So in my mind, I thought to myself, you're the ugliest kid I've ever seen.
Oh.
You know, that's what I thought. I kind of, you're the ugliest person I've ever seen. You're the ugliest kid, and you're never going to get a girlfriend. None of these girls, no matter how much you impress them, are going to be with. You're never going to get one because you're so ugly.
Wow.
And then I looked at him and I said, go ahead, tell him what I said. And at that moment, he just sat there silently. He gave me the dirty look, you know.
Okay.
And he knew. Like he looked at me and he hated my guts to death.
That is something.
That was just and I was like shocked. Yeah. Because I didn't think he could hear me.
Oh,
you know what I mean? I didn't think that he could hear that. So these are things. I mean, you can think about if someone could read every thought.
Yeah.
The cruel things that you say on a daily basis about somebody that would hurt their feelings. I mean, not kill them, but you know what I'm saying? Like we normally think things that are not, and then you go whatever, and then you filter it out when you talk to people. I didn't have any filter. Not on top of that, I was trying to hurt his feelings.
Okay.
So that's how it started.
Wow.
After his dad in the gymnasium, it was in the cafeteria.
Yes.
In the cafeteria we were setting up. It was maybe 3-4 months later, 6 months later. The science fair was in the springtime.
Okay.
It was only a couple days after that I woke up with a gray alien in my face in my bedroom.
Tell us about that. Now, what preceded just like that incident with that kid, and then now you go home. What kind of?
It was like that night or the next night. It was in a day or two of walking by them in the cafeteria, and he said, "Dad, that's that kid I told you about that ruined my confidence."
Wow.
And I walked, and they were talking within earshot of me.
Really?
He said, "Oh, we'll check him out and see if we can do that." And he said some weird stuff. And then he said, "We
do you know what? Him. Do you remember what the father said? I mean, what was said in between them that was weird?
Well, it was weird just the way he said. And then I remember distinctly that he said, the boy said to his dad, "He doesn't deserve that."
Okay.
And he said, "Well, son, you're going to have to learn." He gave him a lesson. He was giving him, he was like coaching him about how to handle guys like me in life.
Wow.
Kind of like that. And I just didn't pay attention to it. I was minding my own business. Like he held a grudge with me when I was over it. You know, when I did that, like the whole year he hated me, but I didn't hate him back. You know, it was just in the beginning kind of thing. So I just ignored it whenever he was acted upset with me. I just I just blew it off because I didn't super hate him.
Okay, I see.
But it was that night. It was very soon after that.
I see.
I was taken.
You were taken. Now, when you were taken, you were in your room. What was the setup? Like it's.
I was home. I lived in. So I'm from Ypsilanti, Michigan. We had a farmhouse.
Okay.
We had 13 acres of land. We were out. We had a long driveway, big flat property.
Okay.
And it was an old 100-year-old house. It was over 100 years old.
Wow.
And we had the old cell phone with the long cord.
Yes.
This was like 1982, 81, 82.
Okay.
And so the phone started ringing.
Okay.
And it rang. It was the old ringer. Ring. The old style phone.
Oh yes. I know.
It started ringing. And then it was like there were flashing lights outside. It looked like thunder and lightning.
Really?
It was like really bright flashing lights. So I didn't think nothing of it. And then you could hear like a crackling.
Yes.
And then the lights came on, and then the phone would ring, and I thought my mom. Wow. We were upstairs. I had the bedroom upstairs, and then across the hall was my mom and dad.
Okay.
And then downstairs was the kitchen, and then my sister's bedroom.
Yes.
And then a living room.
How many siblings did you have?
At that time, I have 3 older brothers and a sister, but they were all moved out. It was just my mom, dad, and my sister.
Wow.
Living in the house at the time. My older brothers had already moved out.
Okay.
So the phone was ringing. It went on for a long time. It was like it rang like 20 times. It was terrible. And I felt like I couldn't get up. I felt like I couldn't move. Like I was just super sleepy all of a sudden.
Okay. Oh, wow.
And, so the phone kept ringing. I thought to myself, Mom's going to get it. Mom will get up and get it. Mom or Dad. And then it quit ringing. And then the lights, and then boom, it was like lights came on outside, like very bright lights. And then.
What color lights were they? Were they?
White, it was a bright white light. Bright white.
Okay.
It was bright. Like a spotlight over the house. And then everything went out, went dark again, and I went back to sleep.
Yes.
Then the phone rang again. It did it again. It repeated. And ring.
And what was the time? What was the time interval between the first time?
Probably just a few minutes. I wouldn't know.
Okay.
I was trying to go to bed. I was tired. I was trying my best to ignore the situation, to ignore it. I wasn't thinking. I thought, boy, this is weird, but I was kind of scared.
Oh, what?
I wanted my parents to respond to it.
Yes, but they weren't responding.
And they didn't do anything. Exactly. I wanted my mom to get up and say, hey, what's going on? And then alert me to something's going on. Get up. I was kind of waiting on that.
And what time was it at this? And what time was it at this time? What time?
It was late at night. It was after dark. It had been dark. So, I mean, I had been sleeping already. Okay. It was like woke me up. So it was sometime in the night.
I see. So you said that.
So then it went dead again, and then a blue ball, a blue orb of light came into the house.
Wow. Through the window?
And it crackled. No, it flew right into my room, and it tickled. When it came near me, I cracked up laughing. I laughed. Wow. And it was like, told me everything's going to be okay kind of thing. Really? And then it flew through my room, and it flew into my mom and dad's room, and I could hear it fly down the staircase, because it crackled when it moved. Really? I could hear it go down the staircase like to my sister, then it came back up, and then it was gone. And there was dead silence. I fell asleep, and when I woke up, there was a gray. I was laying in bed, there was a gray space right here. Wow. I woke up, and I went. And I thought it was my dad joking. I thought, because my dad did stuff like that. Okay. He would hide and prank you. He did that. So I was like, Dad, take off the mask. You're not funny. And I reached up and touched it, and it wasn't. There were big pores. Like holes, like giant pores, and it was wet. And cold. And cold. It was cold. And I went, ah! And when I freaked out, it did something, and I was paralyzed. And at that time, I couldn't move. Shoot. And
did he have like an instrument or something that made you like a?
It was dark, and at the time I had I had really bad vision. I wore glasses. Okay. And so I couldn't. I was very nearsighted at the time. So maybe. But then at the foot of my bed, I could move my eyes around, but I was just paralyzed, like stuck to the. I could move my eyes around. I looked at the bottom of the bed, and there were three at least short reptiles.
Three of them.
That came from the side of my bed, and they picked me up and carried me. They grabbed me out of bed and carried me to the end of my bed. And I thought I was going. It felt like I was going out the window. Really? But it was just like a big flash of light, and I was gone. I passed out. I lost consciousness again, and woke up on a table with a reptile and kind of a longer neck gray. Yes. And a gray, and they were coming and going. It was like a busy place. Wherever it was. Now, the first grays that the ones that were in your bedroom, the three of them, were these the short grays that people often talk about? I don't think he was that short. I think he was 5 feet. Okay. And then the one when you got on to the next, was it on a ship or something? I think it was an underground base somewhere. I think it was underground somewhere, but who knows? It could have been anywhere. Wow. So this jump into this new environment. Now, the people, when you woke up, now you said it was a tall gray? Like a gray, but with a longer neck. With a longer neck. Other than that, it looked pretty much like the first grays. Yeah. And again, it was blurry for me. Yes. At that time, I couldn't see very well. Okay. The room was dark. Yes. And it was round. It was rounded. Okay. The doorway was rounded. Yes. And there was a hallway with people walking by, but I couldn't. Really? They were far enough away where I couldn't see them very well. Wow. There was light. There was a light in the hallway. Okay. There wasn't really much light. They had a light trained on me. Okay. They had a light on me, and I was naked, and they were doing medical tests. They poked me back here.
Okay.
And they took a sample and they were and he told me that they were testing me for some kind of genetics that they needed for what they wanted to do. And it took probably 30 minutes, 20 or 30 minutes for them to get the test back.
Now, the people who were doing the test, was it always the gray with the long neck, or there were different species working on you?
They were different.
Okay.
It was always the reptile was there. He was like the muscle.
Okay.
He said he was there just to move me around.
Okay.
He was like strong.
I see.
He was extremely strong for what he was. I think he was from, he said he was from a bigger planet, a heavy gravity planet.
Okay. Okay.
So the test results came back and they said to me exactly word for word, we want to borrow your consciousness.
Really?
What does that mean? And I thought, and I say this a lot, but I thought at that time that I was in a first contact. I thought this was aliens were finally landing on Earth.
Oh, wow.
And I was going to go back home the next day. I was already thinking about the next day, telling mom and dad,
yes,
aliens are real, and here they are. I thought they were going to be my friends. I was going to say, like, look, this is my friend, my little reptile friend.
Yes.
I thought that's what was going to happen.
And this is and this is in 1981.
Yeah.
Okay.
I looked it back. I think it was I think 81 was the beginning of the school year, and it was 82. It was like April of 82.
Okay.
It was right in there.
Okay.
So I think it really, now that I look back on it and I've done the math, I think it's like 82.
Okay.
But it was 81. I was in fourth grade in 81.
Okay.
81, 80.
Okay.
And it was the fourth grade year.
Yes. So now you're being experimented on, and then something with, you said, the genetic compatibility, and borrowing your mind. Could you elaborate on that?
Yeah. So then he said, I said, what is that? He said, you're very lucky that this is going to happen. You're very lucky. He said, what's going to happen is you're going to come, we're going to take you and live with us, and we're going to borrow your consciousness, and you're going to live for 20 years with us.
Oh, wow.
And I said, no, I can't do that at all. I got my parents. I have a life. I can't go. He's like, but you're going to come back, and you're going to go back the next day. You're only going to be gone for a little bit because we can time travel.
Okay.
And you're going to come right back and say, he's like, you're super lucky. What's going on? He's like, you're very fortunate. It's like you won the lotto. You're going to get a free 20 years.
Wow.
That's what he said. And I thought, so I said, wait a minute. So I'm going to be back home tomorrow morning. And he said, yes. He's like, that's what's going to happen.
Oh, liar.
And so I said, sure. I said, okay. I want to help you guys out. What I didn't know was that I was about to be a slave.
Yeah. Oh.
For 20 years.
Wow. Wow. What a story. What a story. So
anyhow, there's other info on that, on the 20. It's called the 20 and back.
Okay.
And the United States is supposedly the United States secret space program does 20 and backs, and they have Marine Corps Special Division that based on the back of the moon and on Mars. And there are many people that have come forward with talked about the 20 and back technology.
Yes.
And a lot of them are on the up and up. They don't get enslaved, or at least don't remember it. I guess only something like 3% or 5% of the people that are taken for a 20 and back, when they have their memory erased,
yes,
they get a blank slate. Only something like 5% can remember it. And I'm one of them. What happened to me was I always remembered being taken.
Yes.
And I always remembered being put back.
Wow.
The minute they put that, I remember that. I didn't remember exactly what happened. I had memories that didn't make any sense of being a man on a spaceship.
Yes.
I had those memories, and they were very vivid and very real. But when I thought about it, I thought, could that have happened? When was I 25 years old on a spaceship? I'm 25 now.
Wow.
You know, I have a life. I'm a floor guy. I do construction. So when did I have time to go do that? Not only that, but when I was on the ship, my memories of being on the ship, I had a job. I had a profession. You know what I mean? Like, I remember all those memories. I was in the middle of working. I remember standing there working, and I thought, when did I learn that? That must have been a dream. And I just didn't pay attention to I just didn't pay attention to those memories. I just put them out of my head because I didn't understand. In my mind, I was taken by aliens and put back and gone for a couple hours and put back. And I always remember that. And I would always tell people, like, I got abducted by aliens, when I was a kid. And but I didn't put it together, all those other memories, that those could have been real.
Okay.
Those were always there. I always had chunks of memories. There were some terrible things that you just don't forget.
Yeah.
No matter what. And what happened was in May of 15, it was like the same. It's weird because it happened at the same time.
Okay.
That there are other guys that said that they went in for an MRI scan.
Okay.
Whatever resonance image scan on their
Yes.
head, and then remembered service on Mars. The
Okay.
Mars Records is
Yes.
the website. You can go read up on that. One of the guys was into kinesiology, and the other one was into that. But when I found out about that, I had already remembered everything, contacted Dr. Sella, and was working with 2 researchers. When I found out about the Mars Records, the MRI.
Now, who's Dr. Sella? Who is Dr.
I had an MRI.
Who's Dr. Sella for our audience?
Dr. Sella is the guy from exopolitics.org, and he's one of the more prominent UFO researchers.
Okay.
In the field. So what happened? So let me try to put it in. I'll get to him when I talk to him.
Okay.
I'll get to that. So when I had already remembered everything and I came across the MRI stuff, I thought, wait a minute, I had an MRI. So I got online and I looked at my medical records, and lo and behold, it was about 2 weeks before my recall that I got an MRI. And I went, whoa, because I remember the month. I remembered the month or so of when I started getting these big chunks. I mean, like where I had to stop. I had to pull over on the side of the driving and go, oh shit, that happened. Sorry about my language.
No,
I said, oh, that happened. And I went, oh, and then all the memories came, and I would pull over, man, and sometimes I was in tears about it. Just remembering, I had friends, I had girlfriends, I had friends, I had a life, I had a full life up there. Even though I was a slave, I didn't have human rights like you would expect. But it wasn't. I had gotten to the point where I had earned respect of people around me, other slaves and people I worked with that were not slaves. I had earned respect by being good, and so I had a life that wasn't that. It wasn't great. It was terrible. But ultimately, I had earned a decent identity up there.
You made
when all that came back to me, you know what I mean? It was another identity in myself. When all that came back, it was a very moving experience.
Wow.
Believe me, to remember that, to get the chunks of memory, and it completed things that I always worried about myself. I had problems. I had emotional problems the whole time. Growing up, I had things that was wrong with me.
Okay.
I eat food super fast. I don't know why.
Okay.
I didn't know why. Then I remembered why. Because up there, I was in a contest to get more work done with the other guy on the ship, and he wouldn't eat his lunch fast. So every day, I eat my lunch faster and faster and faster, and I beat him.
Wow.
And I beat him on the progress report because every day I wolfed my lunch down.
Yes.
And you couldn't skip lunch; you'd get in trouble. They'd send you to the doctor. So what I'm saying is, little things like that completed me, and I was able to. Now I know why I eat fast.
Wow.
I didn't know that my whole life. I was just white people. My mom would always freak out. Breathe, take a breath, man. Why do you eat so fast?
Yes.
Because, and I still am. I still am the first done.
Yes.
Always.
Wow.
And it's because of that. It was because of that time. It wasn't because I'm just naturally a fast eater. It was because I taught myself to eat fast.
Yes.
During the 20 and back.
Yes.
And when I went back, the memory got deleted. They deleted the memory. They right-sided it. But that habit remained.
Yes.
Habits I generated up there remain.
Yes.
And because I was a slave and I was greatly emotionally damaged, that habit of emotional damage, of low self-respect, I kept that habit with me for my life.
Yes.
You know what I mean? I was treated bad. So I didn't expect, I still am fighting it. I still don't expect the respect that you get, that everybody has. You know what I mean? Because because there was a part of my persona that was a slave, and that's where I was.
Wow.
And not only that, but I was among 40 or 50,000 other slaves on the Planetoid series, in a network of underground cities inside the Planetoid series,
now,
which is just outside the orbit of Mars.
Now, for our audience who aren't familiar with the different planets out there, what is? Are you saying the word series?
Ceres. It's pronounced Ceres. It's spelled C-E-R-E-S.
Okay.
You can Google it. It's about 580 miles around diameter it's an asteroid. And the Germans had found a base that was abandoned there. I think there was some other ETs living there, though. There were Germans that are in charge of it, and there were 2 other races of taller humanoids that lived there.
Okay.
I have some artwork I could send you.
Oh, nice. So, so what cued your memory was getting an MRI. Somehow getting the MRI triggered this memory when you were in your car.
The MRI was about 2 weeks before, and then all of a sudden, no, it wasn't exactly my car. It went on for about 3 months of getting big chunks of memories. They would come. Wow. But what happened was I also found, I found another 20 and back person online talking about it, and he explained Randy Kramer. I found Randy Kramer's info. Okay. Who was on Mars and did a 20 and back on Mars. And I found one of his interviews, and he explained how it works, the temporal, what do they call that? Quantum time dilation. Yes. Called quantum time dilation. Okay. Where they have a 20 and back. And I've met other people in my life, I just didn't know what they were talking about. That kind of could tell that I did. And they told me about it, but I didn't make sense, you know. Okay. But anyhow, that was also this 2 weeks later after the MRI. Okay. And I went, oh my God, 20 years. And I went, wait a minute. Then all of a sudden, those memories of me being 25 years old on a spaceship. Really? I entertained the thought that I went, oh, that was real. I went, wow. Oh, that was real. And I went, that was real. It happened. And then because I did that, because I accept now, instead of telling myself and denying the memories, like that's just some, whatever. When I accepted the fact that I'd been somewhere for 20 years and back. And what age were you? Then more memories came. Then it was just a flood of memory. What years and years of memory. What age were you when you got the remembrance? Well, the MRI was in May of 2015. So this is very recent, relatively very recent. Yeah. Okay. Wow. So, well, like I said, I've always had the memories. There was a time when we flew by a geyser. Yes. Sirius has a geyser that goes off at that one crater. And we flew by it, and they let us stop working. They said everybody can take a break and go to a viewport. The geyser is not going to go off all the time, so it's a once in a lifetime. So I'm going to go off for a couple of days, once in a lifetime opportunity. Everybody can take 10 minutes and go to a viewport and watch it. And so I did. Wow. And it was breathtaking. It was breathtaking. And I stood there next to it. And I remember talking to a German officer on the ship. But I had never forgot that. I always remembered that memory. That was something that I just always, when I was a kid, when I was a teenager, I remembered that. I just didn't know what it was. Okay. You know, until it all came together. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I mentioned earlier that I had typed up a series of questions for you, and you answered the first one about how you got your memory and everything. And so it showed with what the MRI started, but you always had some memory of certain events, but the download. In all places. Now, the first 6 years of the 20 years. So anyhow, I was taken, and after that process, when I'm on the table with them saying that, and I agreed, they put me down, they put a sheet over me, and the table sucked it tight, just like in that movie, Fire in the Sky, exact same thing. They cut it around my eye, and they cut my mouth so I could breathe. Because I went, oh, and the sheet went in my mouth. He said, lay back, nothing's gonna hurt you, okay? He said, we're not gonna hurt you, you're gonna be fine. And when I did that, I said, how do you know that I was gonna breathe like that? How do you know I was gonna suffocate? I'm thinking it telepathically. He said, because they all do that. Okay. He said, everybody does that. That's why we do it. But yeah, they cut in, and it was a needle, went right in here. And I felt like I got sucked out of my body. Anyhow, I woke up in a air base in Southern California with a doctor and a nurse checking me out. Wow. And I had no memories of my mom and dad or my house. Oh, I woke up, I had complete amnesia. I had no idea where I come from, who I was, and what. And he told me I was a clone. Really? He said, do you remember your mom and dad? Okay. I said, no. He said, do you have any brothers and sisters? I said, no. He said, do you believe in God? I said, yep. He said, we'll take care of that. He said, do you remember where you were born, where you come from, any school? I said, no. And he said, that's because you're a clone. Really? And he gave me the stuff, and they let me, and then I went through I'm going to go quick through this so we can get to your questions. Is that okay? Yeah. Oh, no problem, Tony. This is. I want to give people the idea of where I went. Yes, exactly. I went through the MK Ultra stuff, maybe 3 to 6 months, and it was trauma-based mind control where we were tortured. Tell us what what is this, and for those who don't know what an MK Ultra mind control, what is that, so they understand what you're talking about? They basically drug you and shock you and show you movies with movies of animals being butchered and cartoons and people singing songs and gay porn and everything. They show you those movies over and over again while you're on a hallucinogen, some drug like acid. And then they shock your head. We had helmets on that shocked us. And so that way it rewires your brain.
Okay.
So they can show you a stimulus and shock you one way, and then show you a pleasurable stimulus and shock you another way. And it rewires your centers in your brain, and that way they can trigger commands in you and make you do what they want.
Okay.
So we were programming, if I got electrically shocked, I went in exactly, no matter what I was doing, if I was rebellious and violent, they could have shocked me. I had a collar that shocked me. They could have hit the button on that, and I went immediately into a mode where I accepted command. And all the slaves went through the same stuff.
Wow.
Trauma, mind control. There's a lot of information online. If you look up the Monarch program, MK Ultra Monarch, all the stuff that's documented was before the 80s, you know, the 70s and the 60s was when they got in trouble for it.
Okay.
The MK Ultra, the CIA, they got in trouble for it in the 60s and 70s, and they was supposedly canceled. But I think they ran us through. I wasn't an official program. There was only about a dozen kids in the class with me with our helmets on. We hung from chairs, and they tortured. They'd break your arm one day, and then they'd wake us up in the middle of the night, slap you, and shock you. Go back to sleep, wake you up 10 minutes later, slap you, and shock you. It was part of the programming, and it was horrible.
And they're all about the same age?
I don't like reliving it.
I understand.
We went through that.
Yes.
And then I was sold I was owned, I believe, by a billionaire. And I went through an underground train, a high-speed train to somewhere in Montana.
Okay.
Helena, Montana. And she picked me up. His wife picked me up and drove me to Seattle.
Wow.
And he was a billionaire that lived on one of the islands. I don't disclose his name because I'm trying to not get killed, because there are still people alive that are associated with him. He's passed away. His wife passed away.
Oh, wow.
But there are still people alive that are associated with him and his business. And I'm not out for revenge, so I don't tell people. I've told researchers who he is. Or was.
I respect you. I respect it. I respect what you're
practicing Satanist, and I sat in. I went to his house. They kept me in a dog kennel.
Okay.
For a week or so, and then there were two other kids there. Was a girl and another boy from the same class. The rest of them got sold to who knows where. And
you all about the same age?
Yeah, we were all about the same age, right?
Okay.
And he sacrificed a kid that there was a dead body. He sacrificed. He was a practicing Satanist. It was Satanism. And they were all. I got pictures. I've got artwork of that too, where they were naked. They called us in the room. They put IVs in her arm. We had an intravenous bag. We were in a hospital gown.
Yes.
And he was like your standard communion where he fed us part of the kid. And he said, if you don't eat, he said, I came in last. And he said, if you don't eat, you believe in God, you know? And I said, yes. And then he said, if you don't eat some of that, it was like the meat and the blood. It was like a communion, but it was like a dead body.
Yes.
And you had to take a sip of it. And he said, you can take a bite of this.
Okay.
Or you can join him up here. He said, it makes no difference to me if I put you on this table and open you up right next to him, we'll eat you too. He said, and he was saving his blood. He had 5-gallon buckets of the blood from the boy. He was saving it. You know, I was a younger boy. So I sat there for a minute, and the girl said, look, just do it. She said, I did it. Nothing bad happened. She said, just don't believe in it. This is all hocus pocus. Don't believe in it.
Okay.
And so I did. And I'm not happy about that.
It's okay.
So then after that, the next morning, we got up and we were shipped to different assignments.
Yes.
And what they did was the MK Ultra stuff, I went into what was called a theta. Now, and there's a lot of stuff I'm leaving out. But basically, it was a psychic service. And I only had the ability until prior to puberty. But they would put an IV in my arm and I'd lose consciousness. And they were asking me questions. And they said that other people would talk through me. So it was a channeling thing. That it was them. You know what I mean? Like I'm not asking you to believe it or try to explain it, but there's plenty of info about it.
I know of a girl. When I lived in Hawaii, I met a girl who you can just tell, but just looking at her, that she's been through trauma. She was from the West Coast, you know, California, and she shared with me certain things that happened to her, and one of them was someone of a group would drug her, and one day she woke up during the ceremony. It was like she was in a circle, and they would get her in this state, this mind state, like a hypnotic state, and get information from her. And she woke up one day
Exactly.
when it was happening. So your story collaborates with hers, and
That's exactly what they were doing.
She saw what looked like the Jolly Green Giant, a green bald-headed man, and she
the Glass Man.
Oh wow! So you've seen it, you know about it then.
That's the glass man. Yeah, we could talk about this later, I think.
Definitely. So I let you continue. You were mentioning about
so what they did, what he was doing was he had 3 kids there, and they'd always do 3. And I've heard of other people in the space program, secret space, that the SSP on space starships,
yes,
in the United States Solar Warden program, they have psychics that have surgical procedures to make them more psychic. They always have 3.
Okay.
If they get 2 hits, they have an idea, because they're not. It's not 100% reliable psychic. So they always have 3. So they coincidentally during that satanic ceremony, there were 3 kids.
Okay.
And we were all on IVs. They laid us on tables afterwards and drugged us out. And so he was asking business program. You got to think about. You can think about the people running the world. Like, how do they get in power? How do you get $1 billion?
Okay.
If you can channel the past, even just the past, even a dead kid can tell you things about the past that no one else knows. That gives you a huge leg up, especially in the business world, let alone the future.
Wow.
So they're channeling entity. What it is they put you in a state close to death.
Okay.
And then other entities can come into your body or talk through you, and that are not in time.
Yeah.
They're in another. They're in the in between alive and dead. They're in here where there's not time space, so they can see the future and the past all at once.
Yes.
And they can manipulate it, and that's what's been going on. It's a technology, and so I got flown to a town called Puerto Tawantinsuyo, Peru. And what happened was they were doing, probably the CIA, but they were doing shipments of cocaine from Puerto Tawantinsuyo, Peru, in the river town in Peru, to Santa Marta, Colombia.
Okay.
And it was a cargo, and they had lost one of the planes in bad weather. So what they did was they bought a kid like me from this program.
Oh, wow.
And I was on the plane ship. So if the weather was bad or the plane was going to go down, they would have a warning. I was a warning system.
Okay.
Or if the police were going to be there at the airport, they would know to fly away.
Wow.
And so I had a handler. They shipped me there, and it was about once a month we went up, and they would drug me. And I would lay on I have artwork of it all. They would lay me on a cot on the plane, piles of cocaine, the whole plane full of bundles of coke.
Okay.
And I had a handler, and the only reason he was my handler is because he spoke English. Everybody else in that town spoke Spanish. I had 3 TV channels, black and white, Spanish television, and the rest of the time I was mind broken. I was traumatized. I was not a good. They called me a crazy kid.
Okay.
You know? So that happened for about 2 years. So that was like 83 till 85.
Okay.
And then when I got close to puberty, right around 12, 13, I lost the ability. I got worse and worse at it. And I was starting to get really sick from it. So they shipped me back. I went back to his house, and I went through the pedogate stuff. And then from that point, I wasn't a psychic anymore. So they just used me as a sex slave.
Wow.
And I was already, you said earlier that I talk about it, but you know, the only reason I do talk about it publicly is because I originally wanted help for it.
Yeah.
And when I dealt with some researchers, that, you know what I mean, I was just giving it all, because something like this, some story like this, you have to have proof.
Okay.
Everybody wants proof. Everybody wants, well, did you get any pictures while you were in space? You know, show me pictures. So, I mean, it's all part of it, you know. And the thing is, the house where I stayed in Seattle, at his house, I went there. I found it. And I went there in 2016.
Wow.
You know, I flew there. We moved from Maui to Michigan, where I'm at now.
Okay.
And my wife and kids came here, and then on the way I flew to Seattle and stayed the night, and drove through went off the island, and because I had to prove it to myself.
Yes, of course.
And what happened was, not only did I remember it, but I remembered it freakishly accurately.
Oh. Wow.
I had mapped the night before in the hotel. I got myself in a hotel room, and I was just looking on the maps, and I was on Google.
Yes.
And I was I found the house on Google Earth, because I remembered it, and I found it, and I didn't know really sure which road by looking at it from the map. So I had mapped a way to get to the house,
Mm-hmm.
which looked like the best way to get there.
Yes.
But the next day when I got there, I knew my way around the island. And I said, oh, this is it. And instead of going the way I planned, I took a right where I thought to myself, this is it. And it was way the better way. The other way was a dirt road.
Okay.
The Google way was a dirt road. The other way went right to it, went a little ways past it, and come back. And I went, oh my God. And it all came back to me. You know, I went, oh my God. I remember it. And then before I got to the house, I didn't even look at the addresses. I knew I was on the road. And I thought, oh, we're almost there. Because I remember sitting in the car. She would take us out to the store with her. I lived there for years during this time. Almost 3 years I was there, 2.5 years. So I knew it. And I went, oh, we're almost there. And sure enough, right there, not a quarter mile later, maybe 400 yards later was his mailbox. And I stopped, took pictures, it's gated, you know. But
amazing.
I found the house.
Okay.
And I went there and I knew my way around. I went to the beach where she took us, where me and the other boys, and we threw rocks at each other. I had tons of memories. I went to the store. We used to get cheap candy. The cheap candy bin is still there.
Really?
I even went, wow, this is built up. I even had that sensation of, wow, that wasn't here. You know, like I had seen new gas stations.
Yes.
There used to be a gas station we went to. Now there's two. You know, like I remember this gas station, but now there's a brand new one across the street. I went, whoa, that wasn't there. So I had that. So my memories of it weren't hazy at all. They were freakishly accurate.
Wow.
When I went there. And so what I told myself, and that proved it to me. That was the stamped it for me. And if my memories of that are that accurate, then I have to trust the rest of my memories of this time and space were accurate.
Exactly. It's validating to you, and that's what really counts. How you feel about a situation and validate your experiences, because you have people who will even doubt their own, doubt themselves. So this is
and most people have just a fragment.
Yes.
Most people that have contacted me with same kind of weirdness, they don't remember the whole thing at once. But they always had, like I said, I always remembered being taken. That first hour, the first hour, I remembered that always. I never had that. Was never gone. The next day, I felt a little weird, and then like a few days later, I remembered it.
Yes. I see.
After I always knew something happened. But the whole 20 years I didn't remember. They had successfully blank slated that. That memories, those came back. But once they came, I'm still remembering. I still remember things.
Yeah.
So to just go fast and fit, because we're still in Seattle. So I was there till I was about 16.
Okay.
And they were giving us drugs every day. We did calisthenics, we did push-ups and sit-ups every morning. And then the rest of the day we laid around.
What type of drugs were they giving you at this time?
I don't know. It was a pill. It was a cup of pills every morning.
Okay.
We were on a really tight diet. It was like 1 egg, 1 piece of toast for breakfast, and then it was like oatmeal for lunch, and then at night it was a salad with a block of tofu.
Wow.
And so they kept us skinny because that's better for a sex slave.
Oh my
God. And it was like they would throw parties. They did the masquerade party. It was political fundraisers. They'd have a big party out in the yard, thousands of people, and then they would go home, and then at night there was like a masquerade party. And it was like sex and drugs, and we were an exhibit. They'd chain us together, and they'd take us out there, and we were raped over and over for, for hours.
Awful.
And so, not every time, because there were sometimes there'd be 12, 15 boys there, and only they would go in shifts. There'd be 5 boys would go out, and then they'd come back with 5 different boys. And sometimes you just didn't get picked for it.
I mean, you don't have to go into detail about this, a certain component. I don't understand when you said being skinny makes a better sex slave. I don't understand I don't understand that.
That was just it. That was just she explained it like, why can't we have more food? We used to beg for more food all the time.
Yeah.
And she said, people with low body fat are more attractive.
Okay.
That's simple.
She
said, you guys can't be packing on the pounds. You'll be no good to us. And the threat was, if you're no good to us here, you're going to the military and you'll probably die. We're going to sell you off to the military. That's what she said.
Oh my God.
She said, if you try to escape or you can't follow the rules in the house, we were walled in. It was like 500 acres. It was a big wall around it.
Okay.
And she said, there were kids that came and tried to escape.
Yeah.
But they got caught. She said they would disappear. Kids would go. And she said they were sold off to the military, and you have it way better than them. Because realistically, most of the time we just laid around. We had a swimming pool, and we had board games of VHR. We had movies to watch. And it was like being in an orphanage.
Okay.
Fancy house, you know. It was a mansion.
Wow.
What happened was they changed the pills one day.
Yes.
Just they were getting drugs, and I was sick to them. By the third day, I was puking sick.
Wow.
And she said she tried to get it. I said, "Can't we go back to the old ones?
Yes.
You know, please, can't you just see if we can go back to the old pills?" And it was a no-go. And she said, "If you either can't get with these pills, you're going to the military."
Oh my God.
And it was about 2 weeks after that. She took me and met me. Two men got out of we met in the parking lot behind like a Home Depot or something, behind a store.
Really?
You know, in the parking lot in the back where the dumpsters. We met back there. Two guys pulled up in a van. They grabbed me. They gave me a shot. I passed out.
Wow.
And that was the last time I was on Earth in those 20 years. Well, no, it wasn't. But that was the last time that I lived on Earth.
Wow.
I was taken from there to the moon, to a trapezoid base on the back of the side of the moon.
Okay.
And put through another round of like trauma-based mind control, but it was not. It was less trauma though. It was drugs and movies. It was like subliminal messages in movies and tests. But you were drugged. You were like wasted, like hallucinogenic. They would tie you in, you know, to the seat, and it was a class. I mean, there was, you know, 20 other kids.
Were these government people or civilians that was in that truck that took you?
Government guys.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, they weren't in uniform, but you could tell.
But you could tell.
They were. You could tell they behaved like they were in government.
Yes.
You know? I mean, I didn't. She talked to them and said, "Here you go," and there was a deal. There was a deal that they made. There was there was an exchange.
Okay.
So, she coped with it by being angry.
I'm sorry. What was that?
She coped with me leaving.
Okay.
By being angry.
Oh, I understand.
Because we were close, and I told her, I said, "Aren't you going to miss me?" And she said, "Nope." I said, "But don't you feel any kind of love for me at all?" I thought we were close. I love you. Nope. You're just go. We'll get another one. That's what. But she was. I know that somewhere in there she had to be sad.
Of course.
Because I knew that there was another boy that she was sad to see go when he went. Okay. And it hurt. She moped around for a while afterwards, and I know that she was close with me too. You know, she was like my orphanage mom.
I understand.
You know.
So it was contingent. You're staying there if you did well under the new cocktail. Like if you didn't react badly with the new drug cocktail. Then you would have stayed. But once that transition occurs when you don't respond well to it, or at least how they want you to, that's the sign for them to sell you.
I was violently sick from it.
Okay.
Like I was violently ill. The first day I just felt bad, and we did our workout, and I felt bad the rest of the day.
Wow.
The next day I felt worse, and by the third day I was vomiting. As soon as I took it, I threw it back up.
Wow.
And I couldn't eat any food. I was violently sick from it.
Wow.
I'm allergic to a few things.
Okay.
You know, I'm allergic to like codeine and mangoes and stuff like that. So I have allergies.
Okay.
So whatever it was, I was definitely allergic to it.
Okay. So now you're on this new base. You said on the moon.
The base on the back of the moon. There's a few bases there.
Really?
There's an American one, but the one that I was on was basically German and reptile.
Wow.
Reptilian Draco base.
Wow.
And it's shaped. It looks like the Pentagon. It's built it's built with the Pentagon, like the Pentagon, but it's shaped like a triangle.
Yes.
It's shaped like a triangle with a flat top.
I understand.
And but they said that the pilot said one time when I was flying there, he said that they saved a lot of money by the Pentagon is built so well. The Pentagon was engineered to be in combat, to be a fortress.
Okay.
And they said that the plans were built so well that it didn't take much to convert it to a space.
Oh, wow.
Structure. So a structure that could be in space. So they saved money by designing it that way. They just used instead of having it designed all from the ground up, they just used the Pentagon designs, changed the shape a little bit, and it's in space. It's on the back of the moon. It's in a crater on the back of the moon. And next to it, somewhere is a crater that goes down into a hangar.
Okay. Now
where
this.
the hangar is. We'd fly into it and go there.
So how did you get from planet Earth? I mean, I know that they drugged you when you got in that vehicle.
We made a few trips in those years.
Okay.
In the beginning, at the MK Ultra stuff, in the beginning, I rode from the air base in California.
Yes.
It was in Current Air Base, right next to China Lake. One night, after we passed the test to go into Theta, they said, "You're Theta, you can do the psychic stuff."
Okay.
After that, we were picked. There were hundreds of people that got on it. It was crowded at that time. We went up, and it was a triangle. It was a TR3B.
Okay.
Triangle.
So you were okay.
We flew there, and then they did some surgeries to me to help out the psychic
but
stuff.
Like, what I want to make a distinction, like this TR3B, where I mean, it's on the ground, and then I mean, how could people go into this plane and no one else really see it? I mean,
well, it was in the middle of the night, and it was out in the middle of the airfield.
And where was this airfield? I mean, what state? Are you able to?
In California, it's called the Current Air Base. You can look it up.
Okay.
Right now, it's a public field, but it used to be military, I think, back then. But it's a public field. But they just can close it all off at night. You know, if everybody in there knows what's going on, they had security about it. But it landed. Everybody got on. They rolled up the staircase to it, and it didn't have like feet that came out and landed. It just floated there.
Wow.
And then they rolled up the staircase to it, and everybody got in.
Wow.
You sat down. It was just like an airplane. The seat said Douglas on the seat.
Okay.
I don't know if it said McDonnell Douglas, but I know it said Douglas stitched on the seat. And it was like being on an airplane, but like instead of 9 seats wide or whatever it said, it was like 20, 30 seats wide. The rows, in the center of it, there were huge rows, and then there were walls, there were sections, just like an airplane. But every so often, every 3 or 4 rows, there was a pole that went into the ceiling. So in case there was no gravity, you could grab it. You always had something to grab.
So like I mentioned to you, Tony, that I saw my first TR3B last year around in August or September. And that's also what validate a lot of testimony that you and other experiences have said. So this TR3B in California, it will only leave at nighttime, so people wouldn't really see.
Right.
Okay. So now, this plane now, you're on the moon. So
went to the moon.
No.
And it was. I want to say I don't really remember exactly the time. Everybody asks me how long did it take you to get there.
Yes.
I've been asked that many times, and honestly, it's vague to me. But it didn't. When I think about it, it feels to me like it was like 30 minutes.
Okay.
30 or 40 minutes we were there.
Wow.
And the pilot, we flew around here's the moon. We flew around it. Have a baseball would be better. But, yeah, we flew around the moon, and he said, "There's the base." He said, "You can look out your window, and then the whole wall turned clear."
Okay.
Or a projector, however they did, I don't know.
It
was pretty fancy, but it basically made the wall, the whole right hand. It was far away from me. I was on the left hand side.
Okay.
The whole right hand wall turned clear. And he flew and said, "You guys can look down and see it," and I couldn't see it. But they said, "You can look down and see there's the base. There's I think it was the LOC.
Okay.
But I don't remember exactly word for word. They said, "There's the base there. We're not going to be stopping there, but that's the other one. That's the United States." Wow. And he said some history about it. The pilot told some history about it. And then the wall went, and we cruised for another few minutes, 5, 10 minutes or something, 5 minutes. And then he said, "Here we go." And then this one was on, he flew around it and he flew back, and it was on my side.
Wow.
Like our wall opened up, and we could see that. We could look down it, and I could see the trapezoid base. He said that's when the pilot went into that spiel about the Pentagon plans, how we save money by making it look like the Pentagon and blah, blah. The pilot was saying that stuff.
Yes.
Just like on an airplane, like when they give you the little tour, like on your left is the Grand Canyon. It was just like that. It was just like that.
Wow.
But so we landed. I went in. They did some surgeries. It was very uncomfortable. There were a few of them that hurt really bad. They were doing things I don't know. And there were a few that didn't hurt at all. There were times they just pointed some at me and it made a noise. Beep, and then that was it. And I went, "Wow, that's great." It didn't hurt. But there were times that they just operated on me. And then I went back.
And when you say operate, it was like on your head or your body?
Yes.
Okay, so it was all over.
So they're vague. It was kind of like no anesthesia.
Oh,
stuff.
wow. Why do you think they did that without any anesthesia if they have all this technology? Or is it part of the...
Okay. There was one time when it hurt, I was hysterical, where it was painful and I was crying. And there was they called, and then another long neck gray came in. They were the shorter grays that I think are just robots.
Yes,
drones.
yes.
When a long neck gray came in, they said he's hysterical. I was in a lot of pain.
Mm-hmm.
And he just put his hand on my head right here, and I heard the words. I heard love, love, love.
Mm.
And I was just, pain went away, and I was just over the moon. I felt wonderful. It was like I felt euphoric. I was like, love, love, love. He went, no pain, no nothing.
They should have done that in the first place, Tony.
Well, then he had to be somewhere, though. He said, I can only stay for a few minutes. I got to go. And he left, and it went away. It lasted only 5 minutes, 3 minutes.
Oh, wow.
5 minutes, and then it was like it hurt again.
Oh, wow.
So whatever they did, it was very... they treated me like a piece of equipment and not like a person.
Yeah.
The entire time, the time on Earth,
mm-hmm.
the time in Seattle, the time in Peru.
Yes.
In Peru was a different story. I eventually got to the point in Peru where those people, they liked me. There was love in Peru. There was a love between my relationships with the people I worked with. There was an amount of love there. Mm-hmm. In Seattle, there was no love. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And most of the time, and the rest of the time I was up there was very little times when I connected with somebody on that level of, feeling love for them. Anyhow, the rest of it, and like I said, I was a piece of equipment. I was a piece of equipment.
The military do that. They treat you like equipment. Yeah, I was in the military, as I share with you. They have that mentality.
Yeah, I was taken good care of.
Okay.
I had food. You had to eat your food. Remember I said, if you didn't eat, you'd go to the doctor. And the doctor wouldn't just check you up. He said, get on the treadmill and run. And then he'd make sure to draw blood painfully. We got to do it again. They did it so that you wouldn't fake that you were sick. So you said, no, I'm sick. I'm going to go to the doctor on the day that everybody's got to work a double.
I got you.
You know what I'm saying? So when you went to the doctor made it very, very uncomfortable for you. Get on the treadmill. You had to run. You had to work. The checkup wasn't pleasant at all.
Now, the person who's doing the checkup on you, were they alien too, or
German? At that point, I was on the Ceres colony, and it was a German doctor.
Oh.
They really didn't use a lot of Greys on the Ceres colony. It was mostly German.
I see. So from the moon, they sent you to Ceres.
No, I went to Mars.
I'm sorry, from the moon to Mars.
So what happened was, when I was sold from Seattle, I got sold into a program, and it was what's the word? Like soldier support. We were a support. I wasn't a soldier. Mm-hmm. I was a support troop.
Okay.
So basically, what was going on at the time, and this had to be around 87, 88.
Okay.
Was that there were United States Special Marine Corps on Mars. And they were trying to move into areas that were controlled by insects. Okay. There are insectoids that live on Mars, inside Mars.
Okay.
They live underground, and they're, I guess they, when they can change their genetics.
Yes.
The insects. So if they need to dig a hole, then all of a sudden they'll grow a bunch of giant insects that can dig really good.
Okay.
And if they need to see something far away, they'll grow an insect with a giant eye that can see that way. That's their technology. It's genetic. Mm-hmm. They can become a completely different insect.
Wow.
In a generation for whatever reason they need to be that insect.
Okay.
So, but they're very territorial. Like 1 minute they're fine with you, and you cross into their territory, and they'll kill you. Okay. They will kill you. Mm-hmm. And so the military had been they established a base, and it had been overrun by the insects, and there were fatalities inside the base. And so now it was made for about 100 or 200 people in an underground U.S. base, one forward base on Mars, and there were only about 50 people in there. And there were about a dozen of us. They tested us out on the moon. That's a whole nother thing. I'll skip it. But basically, we were trained to be suicide, not bombers, but we were trained to suicide.
Okay.
To and it was a bounding maneuver. What they did was we would walk in a valley, and then there would be hidden soldiers in camouflage.
Yeah.
They had us in bright white suits. So when the insects came out in the open to engage us, they would shoot them.
Wow.
So it was a bounding maneuver, and that's what we were. And they were. What it was the insects could put numbers up. They can grow another soldier insect much quicker than we could train a human.
I understand.
To get up there. You know, and not only that, but our soldiers are very expensive for all their gear they had and their training. You know, we talking about taking somebody to Mars to fight. It's expensive. It was expensive compared to an insect that can just grow 100 insects in a week. A couple weeks, they can have 500 more insects pop up. They're all deadly. I have pictures of those too.
Okay.
So they were trying to get guys that were not qualified to be a soldier, guys like me that were slaves. They were trying to take clones and slaves.
Okay.
And put boots on the ground. They were trying to get numbers.
Now, did they debrief like when I was in the military, in the Navy, U.S. Navy? They had like a debriefing. Like when I first went to my command station, they said, "Okay, this is what's going on the ship," and blah blah blah. They tell you what the lay of the land is, so to speak. The environment.
It was very sparse. I never even got to fire a gun in practice.
So did they tell you about the
training? My entire they told me that they told us the mission. They would line us up at the door of the base, ready to go out.
Yes.
That was our briefing. You're gonna go out, you're gonna walk out, you're gonna stay with them. The soldiers had the full briefing. We didn't even have navigation equipment.
You're the decoy.
We didn't have radio.
So you didn't have a boot camp. You didn't go like
No. My boot camp on the moon. My boot camp was the drugs in the movies, and it was fight or flight response. They were training us. They programmed us through the trauma mind control.
Yes.
To not flight.
Oh.
My response in a life and death situation, I was programmed to fight and not flight. That was the only training we got.
I understand.
They gave us, when they tested it out, they gave us a grenade that went off instantly.
Yes.
No timer. And they made us suicide against a bug.
Oh, wow.
And one of us did. And I watched the guy run up into a bug. They put a dozen of us on one side of an arena.
Okay.
And they let a giant bug in the other side.
Wow.
And it was coming toward us, and we were scared. We were all crapping our pants.
Did they warn you about Did they warn you about the bug that you'll be seeing a bug? I mean, I'm afraid of bugs. So
no, they said you're going to go in the arena, and there's going to be something dangerous introduced into your environment, and you'd be better to kill it and sacrifice yourself than to let it kill all of you. Each of you should step forward and kill it before it kills all of you.
Wow.
And he said, hand us grenade. He said, the red button on the grenade, do not press it. Once you go through that door, it will be armed and it will explode as soon as you hit the button. Do not press it unless you're near a danger. And what you should do is if there is something introduced to you that's dangerous, you should go up and kill it and yourself and save everybody else's life. Each one of you has the potential to be a hero today. That was our briefing.
Oh my
and then,
God.
Boom, we went in.
Wow. This is so it's mind-blowing, and because every soldier, and might be in the military, they tell you ahead of time, but for them to just do that to you is so negligent.
The reason, they did tell us why later. Well, the reason was because they wanted to see how well we would do with nothing, because they didn't have the funding to give us. We had environment suits. The soldiers had armor suits.
Okay.
They gave us each. We had one auto tourniquet. It looked like a little pack of cigarettes, like a little. I got some dental floss.
Yeah.
It was like this.
Wow.
And it had a cord. And what happens if you got your arm bit off or you lost an arm, you pull it and go around the stump and then hit a button, and it would tourniquet.
Okay.
But the thing is, the soldiers had those built into their suits.
Oh.
The soldier's suit would just auto tourniquet. If he lost an arm, right here inside his suit, it would just tourniquet his arm and save him. And our suits did have things in our leg that injected us.
Okay.
There was a drug that kept you alive. If you lost a lot of blood or whatever. And we each suit had 3 of them. We had 3 shots.
Yes.
And that was in our. But we just had bright white environment suits. They were super comfortable. They were really high tech. They were super comfortable. But they said that if our program did well, then we would possibly get our own armored suit. Like standing at the door, they said, if this does well, but right now we're seeing how far you can go with what you've got. And I think so. The first time we went out, there was like no radio, no nothing. The soldiers stayed with us. We were hiking. The second time they gave us a radio, one of us, a radio. But and we had rail guns. The rail guns. We had it was a square gun, and it had a really cheesy, like only like a bar, like a bar of a stock that folded up. And so it was tricky to grab it. So I would, there were guys that were good at it. There was a way to grab it. And when you pulled the bar down, so here's the gun. When you pulled the bar down into your hand, it armed it.
Wow.
So when you let go of it, it safety the gun. It was safety. You see what I'm saying? And it was attached to my arm. And it was a little short, it was a rail gun. And in the thinner atmosphere of Mars, it was white too. It matched the fence. In the thinner atmosphere of Mars, it's easy to get a projectile to go in really fast. And it was totally devastating to hit a creature, a bug with an exoskeleton. Apparently, it was completely devastating. I didn't see it ever happen. And I fired the thing once. That was it.
Now, what's the weather? I mean, what is this? What is the weather like? Is it cold, hot?
It was cold. It was like being in high altitude. It was cold. I could breathe. We had a helmet. We had oxygen. But it would just give it out in front, and then we had an open face, and it was like plastic. There was a plastic that went around us here, and this was open. But it was like you had a helmet, and then clear plastic that went around like a visor. And it went all the way around, and then it would give air if you needed it. Your suit knew. The suit knew if I was hot or cold, and it would do that automatically. I didn't have any control. The suit just did stuff by itself. And when you were injured, it would give you the ejection. You could do it manually on your leg. There was a way to do it, or it would just give it to you automatically. The suit knew if you were dying or not. But that's all it was an environmental suit.
Wow.
And like I said, also our suit that we wore was buoyant, but we were, I forget the term, buoyant. The soldiers' suits were heavy, so they were negative buoyant. In other words, the soldiers could run and jump exactly like they do on the Earth. So if you weighed 200 pounds here, and you can run and jump like a 200-pound man. On Mars, you weigh 140 pounds, and it gets awkward when you start running. So their suit made up the other 60 pounds.
I understand.
Plus. Do you see what I'm saying? So they walked around just like normal. They could run, and they didn't have any problem. But our suits were light, so we had a hard time running. And when you start running, you can run for a few steps. But then it devolves into a double, like a.
I understand.
Like that, and it was hard, and it was I was not good at it. We would fall down often when we tried to run. There was a time when I got in a crater and ran around the crater, and you could run. It was just like running on Earth. I was like, wow, we can run, check it out, and because I was going in a circle, and it was a small crater.
Now these soldiers that were with you, the one that had the armor and everything, were these slaves too?
No, they were United States Marine Corps Special Division.
Oh, wow.
So they were in a 20 and back tech as well. They were going to go back to the same minute they left.
But they're not considered slaves. I mean, they
probably still have their memories, right? Exactly.
Oh, wow.
They were treated. They hazed us. They picked on us, and we had a mess hall. They would come over. I said they said, you guys sit at the yellow, and everything was color coded.
Yes.
The whole base was color coded. You guys are going down there. There were lines on the wall, different color lines. You follow that line, go. Follow the blue line and go. And when you get to the end of that, there's a bathroom. You're gonna stand right there and wait for it to truck to go.
Yes.
And then anyhow, in the mess hall, like the first day, they're like, you guys got to sit. We got there. There's a dozen of us. There's 12 guys like me. You guys sit at the yellow table. I said, how come we got to sit at the yellow table? I said, well, because there isn't a pink one.
Oh.
You sit right there. You know what I mean? And the first day, they took our food from us for lunch. The very first day, they all came up and just smacked our food on the ground. So that every other day when they walk by, we'd be scared or whatever. Now they hazed us. They picked on us.
Yeah. Now these guys, the soldiers. Now they were. I assume that they were a little older than you. Is that true?
They were. I lost track of how old I was out there.
But them, but they seemed a little older than you, right?
Definitely, and they were trained. They knew. They were confident.
Okay.
And they had their own clique. There were only a few of them. There were only 10 or 15 soldiers, or something like that. And then there were command soldiers. There were command.
I understand.
There were guys there that were ranked. They were ranked. Them like the soldiers all wore when we were eating. The soldiers wore like casual clothes. You know, the t-shirt. They just wore a plain t-shirt and like a camo pant.
I see. And they didn't have that shock collar either. Did they have a shock collar? Okay.
We had collars. Yeah.
Okay.
We had collars.
And what do you know? What was the race or ethnicity of these the free people there?
Well, you know what? It's a difficult subject to talk about the races of it.
Okay.
But I think why not cover it? Because I was asked in another interview, and it was kind of a trick question. But where did you see any black people?
Yeah. Okay.
And I don't want to whatever be uncomfortable about it. And I said, well, yes, because it's kind of a trick question.
Okay.
A lot of people believe that there are no black people in the programs, and that's just not true. What it is the black people are immune to many forms of the mind control.
Okay. Wow.
Or it requires a different mind control system apparatus.
Wow.
To make a black person behave the same way that I behaved.
Okay.
When I went through the mind control apparatus. So there are black people, but it's twice as expensive if you want to have black and white people.
Wow.
In your let's look at it from the top down. Look at it from the top down. You are in charge. You can 20 and back people. Okay. Anybody on Earth you want. And because you want to go mine an asteroid somewhere and look for gold in an asteroid out in the asteroid belt. So you need 2,000 people. So you mind control, you just 20 and back them. They're going to go back they're going to go right back to their bedroom.
Yes.
The day you take them, they're not going to remember it. And you get them for 20 years. You put them through mind control so you can control them. And then you put them to work. And they're not going anywhere. They're in an asteroid in space. They're not going to escape. Right? That's what's going on. So why would you set up two separate apparatuses? Why would you set up an entire laboratory of grays and a laboratory to mind control the white people or the Latino people that you take, and then you have to have an entire another apparatus for the black people?
Interesting.
Because they're not victim. It's not as effective. The same torture that I go through is not effective on an African person.
Yeah. What I meant to say, not, I mean, that I'm interested in what you're saying, but what I meant to say is those soldiers that were not slaves, the one that had those special suits. What were the race or nationality of those?
They were white guys. They were American white guys.
Wow. Okay.
They were Americans.
Okay, they're Americans.
There were times on series. Now there were Americans on series.
Okay.
There were slave girls that were being used for sex slavery.
Okay.
There was a red light district on series. There were girls being used as hookers, having sex with ETs.
Wow.
It's still a booming trade up there. Okay, not among every ET race, but there are plenty of them that are not evolved that far that have gotten away from that. The sex trade is very real. And
I want to
definitely. And there were girls that were being damaged. There were certain races of ETs that had to pay a lot more because some of them crippled the women telepathically.
Yes.
And they would go crazy from it. They would have sex with them or whatever it was. And the telepathic bond that they had would make the girl crazy because they were a more advanced or different species. That went on.
Wow.
But what I'm saying about the races is because of that, typically I didn't see many black people.
Okay.
I wrote back from series with one that was not, he didn't work on series. He worked somewhere else in the solar system and he was on my ride back. He wrote a disc back when they put me back. The day that my very last day, when I was going back out of the 20 years, I rode on a disc with a black man.
Okay.
And then I saw there was another time we were on the moon, and I met a black. He was a boy. He was younger than me, but he was a black person there too. So yes, they were there. And a lot of people will have you believe that there's none up there, and that's not true.
Interesting. Now, the blacks that you did meet there, how were they from the U.S. or they're from Africa or the West Indies? Where did they get these? The ones that you met.
The one that I met on the disc was not from America. He was from Asia somewhere.
Okay.
I don't know exactly. I don't remember exactly. We talked, but we didn't. We were all pretty upset about what we had all been through.
Yes, yes.
And he was happy it was over. He was combative.
Okay.
And he taught me how to be combative. He said, "There's nothing they can do to you now. There's a law. They have to put you back." He said, "What are they going to do?" And he was yelling down to the pilot, like, "F you." He was being combative, and I said, "What are you doing? You're going to get in trouble." He said, "No, they got to put us back. It's a law. They have to put us back. There's nothing they're going to do. What are they going to do? Put me in jail? I got to be back tomorrow. They got to put me through the system. They have to. So no matter what I do, they're not going to punish me for it." And he said, "You can do whatever you want to do too."
Wow.
And I was combative through the entire system. They told me to sit down. I said, "No, screw you." They said, "Sit down." No. And the Greys didn't know how to act. The robot, they were like, "What do we do?" They had to call somebody else. I was combative about everything. I wasn't violent, but I just didn't comply. And it felt really good after 20 years of it. I had finally a window of time where I had rights because they were bound. They have a set of laws too.
Really?
They've legalized it all. No, think about this. Think about the 13th Amendment of the United States Constitution.
Yes.
Right?
It says that it's abolished, but if you are in prison, you lose your rights and you become a slave, and they can use you for anything.
No person, neither slavery nor involuntary servitude except as a punishment for a crime. Whereof the party shall have been duly convicted shall exist in the United States or any place else. So that amendment abolished slavery.
Yes.
But it also made it legal.
Yes. And people don't realize that. Yeah, it's that capture part. Once you become arrested for an alleged crime, and again, people could set someone up.
Convicted. It doesn't say what crime, if it's a misdemeanor, a parking ticket.
Yes.
It doesn't say.
Yes.
But the thing is, what's the other, coincidentally, with what I'm saying now, maybe this is just a coincidence, but what country in the world has the biggest prison population?
The U.S. And who's in it?
Because that's a slave population for the space program.
Yes. Oh, bingo.
So they can come in, you lose all your rights. They're privatized. They're not even the government. They're private companies.
Okay.
So they can come into your cell at night and grab you out, and you go and do a 20 and back, and you go back, you don't know what happened.
Wow. I think that was one of my questions that I had. You're really covering a lot. I love the information that you're sharing, and it's amazing. And I thought to myself, because you mentioned that about the human trafficking, and I learned that once you become in prison, you're considered a slave, and bingo, you can get any young, strong man and
not only that, and look at the things they're doing to get people in jail nowadays. It's like they're dreaming up new ways to put people in jail.
Yes.
They're coming after the guns. Now, pretty soon owning a gun's going to get you in jail.
Yes.
And typically a lot of those guys have their act together. You know what I mean? Like a real, like not a criminal gun owner, but a gun owner, your typical gun owner kind of has his act together. Those are the guys that make good slaves.
Oh.
Law abiding. You don't want to arrest the scum of the earth. You don't want to go into jail, into prison, and take those the low guys. You want to find the most law abiding prisoner.
Because it's less of a fight.
Because he's going to do a fine job.
Yeah. Okay.
He's going to comply.
That's what I mean.
Not only that, but he's going to do a fine job.
That's what I mean. Wow. And he already probably has a little bit more education or finesse and can communicate more. Yeah. Oh, wow.
Well, I'll tell you what, they had it down to us. They have the Germans have the labor side of it down to beyond the science. They had it perfect.
Wow.
What we deal with in our corporations, about getting you motivated to work.
Yes.
About the carrot and the stick kind of thing.
Yes.
They had it. they were way far advanced for what anything that I've seen on Earth.
See,
they gave you all kinds of little tiny incentives to do good.
Yes.
And they had a score at the end of every day. There was a progress officer that came through. He had a smart glass pad.
Yes.
He recorded how much work we got done by that time. It was like 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yes.
He would come in and he would look at where we are at. There was a computerized score.
Yes.
There was a score of how many actions you did. I don't know how it worked. How many actions you did, how much progress you made that day.
Yes.
And he took down your score. And then whatever job, if there was a janitor,
yes,
they would make 2 janitors.
to
because whoever had the higher score that month would get a reward.
Wow.
So it motivated you to do stuff. And it was like weird stuff. Sometimes you would get money. Sometimes you would get food. Sometimes you could get a trip somewhere.
Wow.
Sometimes you would get a little bit of freedom that wasn't shit to them. To cost. It wasn't a problem. But it was just, they didn't have to give you that. But you did good this month. So it motivated you. You really wanted to.
Yes.
And then later on, I got a girlfriend. I got to the point where I was getting a paycheck. I was able to ride the train and leave the base. They said, look, if you don't show up for work in the morning, you'll probably get killed. We'll shoot you. But you can go do whatever you want. As long as you show up and do your job fine, you can go anywhere you want, do whatever you want. You can do anything you want. And I was a slave. I wore a collar. I was out in public. It was embarrassing. I avoided the public areas. When I was on the train, I kind of got used to it, but it was embarrassing because at any minute, anybody could tell me to get up and go to the back.
Really?
Shut up. I was told to be quiet. I didn't like to talk to people, and I was very lonely, But in public, it was embarrassing to have the collar on.
So this collar was something. So this collar was something very noticeable.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and it had a box like right here. And then it was just like a piece of metal, I think, right here.
Really?
Like that went around, but there was a box. That was where the shock was.
Oh.
It was shocking right there.
Oh wow.
But it was embarrassing. It was a greatly embarrassing experience.
So it was
just public wearing it.
And what type of clothes were you wearing? The same type of clothes?
I had a gray. Okay, so in the morning it was like a prison. I describe it to people. It was a long row. It was like concrete, and it was just like a prison, but there were no doors. Like my little room was maybe 8 by 5, and it had a cot and a little drawer, a little desk built into the wall, hanging from the wall. And that was it. There was no door and no wall there, and it was a long row of those, thousands of them.
So like,
and at the end of the hallway, there was a way down, and there was a way out, and there was a guard there. So when I got home at night, they would turn on my light in my individual one. I had 5 minutes. You have 5 minutes to get in there and get settled in, then the light went out. And then all the lights came on in the morning. There was a buzzer, bang, in the morning that woke everybody up. You had to take a shower out, and you had to take a shower in.
Okay.
You had to shower before you went in.
Okay.
You had to take it, and when you got out of the shower, there was a hook. So when I went on one side of the shower, I would go in. There was a long row, like a locker room, with just hooks. I would take off all my clothes and hang them there and set my shoes down, go shower, and then walk out the other side, and there was a hook of pajamas, like a night clothes, like sweats and a shirt. You know what I mean? Like it was clothes. And then in the morning, it was the same process. I'd take off my pajamas and go in and go out the other side. There was my clothes there for that day. I didn't do laundry. I didn't, that was some other slave section took care of that. But that was how it was. There was a shower, and then there was a place you had to brush your teeth, and then you had to go in, and there was, the bathroom, and then out from there was a cafeteria. Yeah. You could eat breakfast. You had to eat breakfast.
What type of food did they eat? And this is in Ceres?
Yeah, this is on Ceres, and the Ceres Colony Corporation, and they were German. So in the towns, there were many places, restaurants that had all kinds of different foods, and there were foods that catered to some of the ETs.
Wow! And was this an underground city? Like was this?
I bought a sandwich once.
Okay.
Of real food. But the rest of the time, and then in the ship, there was always muffins and the coffee and muffins in the morning. We had matter replicators.
A what?
We had replicated food.
Oh, what does that mean? I never heard that term.
Put the bowl in it. There was bowls. The bowl. It looked like a microwave, but no window.
Yes.
It only had like 6 buttons, 6 or 7 buttons or another. 6 buttons on the side with
Yes.
little listed. It was in German, so
Yes.
you had to guess.
Okay.
But it was like macaroni, and there were 6 of them.
Okay.
Macaroni and cheese. There was sauerkraut. There was a pot roast. There was spaghetti. There was like an Italian thing. There was a what was the other one? Chicken soup.
Yes.
You put the bowl in it, empty. You hit the button, and it took like 5 minutes. And you open it up, and your soup was in the bowl. It replicated it from matter.
Wow.
Liquid.
Wow.
It replicated it from nothing.
Really?
So they don't even need food. It doesn't even cost them anything to feed you. It's just electricity.
Oh, wow.
They have free electricity. They have 0 point or whatever it is electricity. They have generators of electricity. Everything there was artificial gravity.
Okay.
The Mars base had artificial gravity. When you walk out the door, you could feel the gravity, but inside the base it was like normal. The floor, there's gravity plating in the flooring. It is also powered. And that was one of the things that impressed me the most on series was that it was miles and miles and miles of artificial gravity.
Wow.
Plating. It was gigantic.
And that's underground.
Underground, yeah. There were big caverns that the Germans had found, and they were they were looking for water. They were mining, and the biggest thing they could find was water. They wanted to empty it out, see if. Well, I've only recently come to the revelation of what they were doing because they didn't tell me about it, but they wanted to find ancient buildings.
Okay.
Water in pockets of water. There were places in Ceres where they found pockets of water. When they got the water out, there were buildings in there.
Okay. Wow.
Because whatever was living there was aquatic.
Okay.
Because the people that built it were living in the water.
Wow.
So Ceres has a lot of water on it. They were looking. That was like the Holy Grail. When they were mining, they were using the material for stuff, but they didn't really care about it. They, if they found a streak of gold, they didn't care at all about it. They wanted water because they were looking for ruins.
Okay. And when did this base get discovered by the people from Earth?
When I got to, so the Mars base, after that mission, we did 3 missions. The bugs engaged us. They canceled that program of the support soldiers. It failed. Remember I said it was an experiment? They said, if you guys do good, this program does good, we'll upgrade you. It failed. The bugs adapted way quicker. Okay. The first few missions worked, and then the bugs adapted and were casualties.
I understand.
It failed. They canceled it. So then I went to a bigger city on Mars that was mostly underground domes. And it was beautiful. I mean, it was a very advanced architecture that was in there. And but when you walked in there, when you got off the ship, there was a small, like not an airplane, but like a small airplane. I could see inside the cockpit. Wow. When we got off there and you walked into the city, it was like, welcome to the Mars. I think it was Ares Prime. Welcome to Ares Prime, and you are now in the most advanced colony in the solar system. Wow. Like, welcome. Yeah, this is the best. We're in the best place. Wow. Right? So when I got to Ceres, they said, welcome to Ceres colony. This is the most advanced colony in the solar system. Okay. Wow. And what type of people live on these colonies? Where are these people from? And what is the demographics? The Ceres colony had a great deal of people that were born there. Okay. That were German. Okay. Blonde German people. Humans just like you'd run into in the earth, anywhere around, you know what I mean? There's German people everywhere.
And these are just strictly German people, or?
They were the ones that were born there.
Okay.
They're living there. They're living there. They're having kids there. They're going to die there.
Wow.
They were German. Okay. Now, the slave element and other people that came there, there were ETs. There were many different species of ET that were visited. Yes. There. It was a trade colony. They are trading technology for technology. And this is what's going on in the universe. Okay. More than money is knowledge. They trade knowledge. They trade technology. Okay. With other races. And when I say other races, a lot of people, we've been conditioned to believe that there's only if there are ETs, there's only a few. Like it's so big that we might go into space and we're only going to go in our galaxy, like in Star Wars. Yes. Only going to go this far in your galaxy. Boom. Okay. There are natural portals. There are ways they can go to other galaxies. There are billions and billions of sentient races of intelligent life.
Yes.
Billions of different kinds, and they all have access to each other. Once they get to a certain level, the Germans were trading not with a few hundred species, with thousands and thousands. There's a list. There's like a bulletin board list at a base around Jupiter, and we never made a dent in it. We went to 3-4 different planets a day trading cargo for years, and we never made a dent in that list. Dozens of ships.
So the people that live there,
the universe is very big.
Yes. And so you're saying that it was a German colony from the Nazi era, I would presume. And are there any other Europeans that live there?
Yeah, so on the ship, there were Italians. There were people from all over Europe that worked on the ship with me. They had translation devices. I think there were implants. I suspect there was an implant.
Yes.
Somewhere in you that worked, but they could turn it on and off. I toward the end of my career, I got promoted, and I was a cargo engineer.
Okay.
And I would go to mission briefings in the morning for the cargo ship. And that was with the German crew. The captain and the Corvette captain and the other guys. And then there was me and my counterpart. I had 2 cargo bays, and there was a counterpart on the port side of the ship. I had the left side.
Yes.
And he had the starboard side. It was the same guy. And then there were a couple other. There were guys from the center cargo bay that was out the back. There were 5 bays. There were 7 bays, but 2 of them never got used. And there were 2 on each side, and then 1 big one in the back. And so, but in those meetings, they would turn on and off. They would speak in German.
Yes.
So I didn't understand them. And when they needed to speak to me, they hit a button, and all of a sudden, in the middle of their sentence, I could hear what they were saying. The elevators had that on too. So when you walk, I remember standing outside an elevator waiting, and 2 guys were talking in German. And when the elevator opened up, we walked inside, and as soon as we crossed into it, I could understand what they were saying.
Wow.
Like the implant or whatever it was turned on when you were in that local area. So the elevators had that ability. But there was like, so one of my friends was Italian. He spoke Italian. And it was only when we were near an area where I could hear him translate off the ship. When we got off the ship, it would work. There were places where we knew where we could talk to each other. But while we were working in our day-to-day, our 9 to 5, I couldn't understand a damn thing he said because he only spoke Italian.
Now, this Italian man, was he also a slave? He had the collar on?
Yes.
Oh, wow. Okay. So on this colony also, you already mentioned that there were different Europeans, and some of these Europeans were in a slave status.
Most of the cargo crew was.
Okay. Now were there any living on the colony who were free, if I can use that term? Were there any non-German citizens who were free?
Yes.
And
all of the shops were owned. All the shops, I don't know about owned, but they were managed by an ET race. Basically, whenever you went into a restaurant, the manager was an ET.
When you say ET, what does that?
When you went to the strip club, the manager was an ET. When you went to the doctor, the guy that was running the place they were 9 feet tall or so. They were very big. They had wide hips, had weird, big, beady black eyes, and they had elongated skulls. They had hair, and they had an elongated skull, and they were big, and they were only telepathic. The one that I went to where I frequented where my girlfriend worked, who was also a slave.
Okay.
His name was Crumb, and I wasn't allowed to speak to him or telepathically at all. I was not allowed to address him because I had a broken mind, because I had been through the trauma mind control. He didn't want to act. Any telepathic race, I wasn't supposed to engage with any telepathic race because they could access the trauma that I'd been through.
Okay.
And so that would be unpleasant for them. So I wasn't allowed to speak to anybody. It was a very strict rule that I wasn't supposed to speak to ETs. But it did happen. I mean, I did sometimes.
Yeah. So an ET is, and your definition of an ET is any non-earthling being
that's intelligent.
That's intelligent. And were this particular ET, you said they were about 9 feet tall, and where were they from, if you know?
I don't know where they were from.
Okay.
They didn't enjoy our gravity. They had they would always have a piece of jewelry, like a band, or they had a device that would lower the gravity in their area where they walked.
Did they wear clothes?
Yeah, yeah.
What type of clothes? Clothes from their country? I mean, from their planet, or?
I think they bought clothes there locally on Ceres. I think that they had their own kind of there was their own fashion there. A lot. There was like the military stuff.
Yeah.
I remember seeing the one piece of clothing that stood out. Excuse me.
Okay.
Once I went into like a shopping area, and like I said, it was very embarrassing to be a slave in a shopping mall.
Okay. It's
not like, you know what I mean? It's not like you walk by and somebody would look at me, or some girl would look at me and think I was cute. It was more like I got looked at with disgust by everybody. So it was an embarrassing thing. There was a lady there, and she was pushing a stroller with a baby in it. She was blonde and small, petite.
Wow.
She was a beautiful woman. But she had a long black, she had like a dress on that went from her waist down that was black.
Okay.
And then she had a coat over that hung down over it.
Yes.
And it was black, but it had chrome, like silver along the like here's my coat.
No problem.
Like this part.
Yes.
Was chromed. And
wow.
it had like flower, like a design, like an old English, like a paisley flower design cut out of it.
Okay.
Or silver, but it was the whole dress, the whole thing down, and she had chrome parts of it. That were metal. That was metal.
Wow.
Inside of it, you know what I mean?
Yes.
And that was they had that kind of fashion there. It was beautiful. It was amazingly beautiful. It's like blew me away.
Wow.
You know?
So on this planet, the only groups are the ETs that you described, at least one of them, and then the rest are German people. Do they have any like Chinese type people or Native American type people or even African people that live there who are free?
No. Yes. When you went into public, it was a cross section, but most of the people there, it would be just like being in Germany. In fact, there was one of the caverns that was a replica of a German city.
Okay.
Or maybe not German. I think it was at Copenhagen. It was a replica. It was an exact replica of a European city.
Yeah.
But it was European, and it was a mix of everybody. But there were random other races that you would see there that were visiting.
Yeah, from Earth.
That's what I mean. There were a lot of different ETs there.
But I mean, like from Earth. But I mean, like on Earth. Like I want to, for my audience, I want to make a distinction that what type of colony did this colony have? Black people who were free, or people from India, all different, non-white people, if I can say that.
Okay, so it would have, but they would have been visiting.
They'd be visiting. So there are people on Earth, on this planet here on Earth, that somehow has access to go on Ceres.
We did missions. Okay, so our typical day there, when I was working on that ship, we would get up and that buzzer would go off in the morning. I'd go shower, get dressed. I'd get on a train, which is disgusting with no seats. You had to stand up. The slave train was only standing only.
Okay.
I'd get there and it would drop me off, and then it would drop me off. When we got off the train, we walked over across like a big stone room.
Yes.
Maybe the size of a basketball court, and there was an umbilical that put me on the bottom of the ship.
Okay.
Later on, when I got promoted to cargo engineer, I took a right and went through a security door, and went to a different front umbilical, and I could ride the elevator. The back of the ship had ladders, and I didn't have access to the elevator, but it had ladders that you would go up and down. The front of the ship, the command area, had an elevator.
Okay.
So I would get in the morning. It was nice. I'd go there. I'd go in the morning and ride the elevator up.
Wow. Get
coffee, get the mission briefing, then walk along, and then take a ladder down to my workstation. But then we would go to other planets. We went to other galaxies.
Tell me about this.
And then we would go work a 12-hour day, 10 hours or however long. And we would go home, and we would get home just a few minutes after we left. So it was, if I left at 8 in the morning on the ship flew out at 8 in the morning.
Yes.
I was back home at 8:30 in the morning.
Wow.
Even after a 10-hour day.
And this ship was the TR-3Bs. Is it the TR-3B?
No, it was like a big pumpkin seed ship. It was triangle in the front. It was round at the top. It was triangle, and it had like a tower.
Okay.
Oops. My camera on?
I'm here. I can see you.
Something popped up.
Yeah, I don't. Let me get my glasses. I see something. Are you still there? Camera will be turned off shortly. Keep camera on.
They're just seeing if we're still here.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, okay.
It was like a pumpkin seed shape.
Okay, I got
the
it.
The first ship I was on was like a big submarine. It was a big cylinder.
Yes.
It was like a cigar shaped ship. I worked on that for years, for like 6-7 years.
Wow.
Maybe longer. I lost track of time.
Yes.
Every day was Groundhog Day.
Yes.
But what I'm saying is we went back home. So there are people here on the earth that fly up into space and they're back home only a few minutes later.
Really?
And they go work 8 hours. Have you ever noticed how the presidents always have gray hair super fast?
Yes.
It's not because they're stressed out. It's because in the morning they go out into space for 8 hours. And then they come back in the morning and they go back to work.
Really?
Yeah. It's from time dilation. He's president for 4 years. He's really out there. He's really lived for who knows? They could probably go for longer. I mean, I don't know the technology, but what I'm saying is when the ship has the technology to jump in portals, they can go anywhere. They can travel time as well. It's instant. So they can come right back to the time they left.
I want to make sure I understood you correctly, and the viewers. You're telling me on Earth that you have even the President of the United States goes on a plane to another planet and could do like a time jump and then come back? Did I hear you right?
Yeah, I believe that's the case. I'm speculating that.
Okay.
I'm going to say that for sure.
Okay.
I'm speculating it. But when you watch the president, any president, look at Bill Clinton, aged quite a bit.
Yes, he did.
In his 8 years. In 8 years, he looked like he aged 20 years.
Yeah, recently.
His hair, he went totally. And then so you go, well, that was weird. George Bush did it too. And then Barack Obama did it too. He's
Definitely.
Got pretty gray.
Yes.
He looks way older.
Yes, he does.
And you got to think that these guys probably have access to that tech.
Well, I heard with President Barack Obama that he did like one of the super soldier programs that I heard about.
That he was involved in the jump room.
Yeah. And they call it a jump room. What is that term? I've heard of it, but for our audience, what does that mean?
There was one, we did a mission on the moon where it was a portal room. It was like a Star Trek, like a teleporter.
Yeah.
You know, like the transporter in Star Trek, but really it's a ball that you walk into. They turn it on and it's a bright ball of light.
Yes.
They say just walk into it like you're normally walking. Don't do anything different. Just walk in.
Yeah.
Don't change your speed. Don't walk and then stop. Like once you start, keep going the same speed.
Okay.
You walk into it and they can put you anywhere they want.
Wow.
How far, I don't know. Anywhere in the galaxy, I don't know. The one ET, the one reptile, there was times when I was on the moon, when they were putting me back.
Uh-huh.
I had another layover of waiting on test.
Yes.
The one reptile said he went home every day.
Wow.
To his planet. He just worked here.
Okay.
That was his job. And he said he wasn't even high paid. He said he was the equivalent of in his late 20s.
Okay.
And he had a wife and kid.
Wow.
He went home to his wife and kid every day. He was a reptile. He was a lizard, a short one.
Okay.
And he said he went to his planet, was heavier gravity. It was red. So the skies were red there. He said he liked it way better than ours.
Wow.
He thought it was way more beautiful than our world. And that he worked every day. That's what he portaled to work. That's what was going on. He didn't need a ship. So the ships that we worked on made their own portal and could jump. So we had a few different drives on the ship. We could go A to B in the solar system, fly very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
No, it was a couple hours from one end of the solar system to the other.
Mm-hmm.
The Kuiper Belt, I think it was an hour, 90 minutes or something.
And this is and this is what you call the pumpkin seed type of spacecraft that you said.
Yeah, it was the Max von Laue was the name of the ship. It was a pumpkin seed. The Max von Laue. Okay. The round ship, Max von Laue.
Wow. Okay.
And then it had a jump drive that could jump anywhere in the galaxy or half of the galaxy or something like that. it was proportionate to the amount of power the ship could generate.
Yes.
That was the thing. There was only so much power they could put out. It was free, but it was the jump distance was proportionate to the amount of power that the ship could generate. So for them to go to another galaxy, they used the natural portal. And there's one around Jupiter. There's one near Jupiter. And it's a natural portal, and they can go to other galaxies. And once they get in another galaxy, then we could jump one or two jumps to the other. So they could go anywhere.
Wow.
We went anywhere. That's what I mean. And each galaxy was populated with sentient races.
Really?
Millions of them. Just like ours. So they said over the loudspeaker one time that we only ever went to a star that we could see from Earth. Like when you look up into the sky, a visible star. Yes. We only went to only 1% or 2% or something. I think it was 1% of all our missions. Yes. Did we ever go to one of those stars, because they had already been traded with.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Everybody, when the 3,000 stars that we can see, they've already been traded with. They all are on the same page. You're not going to go there and get a good deal on a laser beam, or whatever. So we had to go very far to look for exotic technology. They wanted to go somewhere that nobody else had been to, so that we could go there and trade technology and get something new. And once in a while we did.
Wow.
There were times when we got bonuses, money bonus.
What type of technology are you familiar with?
What do you mean?
What type of technologies, like you're saying that the whole point of these journeys is to acquire new technologies and then incorporate this in their society. What type of technologies that you could explain?
There's a few. Let me try to think of the one wasn't very long ago I was talking about it. But there was so they had like scalar laser, I'm calling it laser beam, but it wasn't. It was a scalar wave, but they had laser beams, they had beam weapons on the ships that were very powerful. Okay. And to put it into context, like we think of a laser burning through something slowly.
Exactly.
You can see it fire,
Yes.
They had one that was like a lightsaber power, where the beams would cut, like if you were cruising by a forest of trees and you turned it on, you cut the whole trees down as fast as you went by. Okay. Right. But they were huge. We eventually traded for one, and it was a big deal. We got one that was handheld.
Wow.
It was that powerful. I mean, but it was handheld.
Yes.
And everybody bragged about that, but it was a weapon. So, but there were many things that we traded for. They traded for medical technology. They traded for spiritual technology. Wow. They traded for things that would extend your life. They traded for just goods. And when there was not a technology, we would trade for goods. Wow. There were goods for goods. But the goal was technology. And it was very rare. We did a lot of trading. We didn't get much. So once in a while, when we did get something, it was a big deal. There was I can't think. I can't think of it right now, but I did think of it. I did vaguely remember it not long ago, something that we got. Okay. For the most part, the cargo stuff, I never had any idea what was in it. Okay. My job was cargo engineer. When we loaded things onto the ship, they went into a certain order, and I would go down, and me and another guy would measure them, their height and width, and weigh them. Wow. And then I would write it all down. I had a clipboard with a little sheet, and I'd write it all down. And then I went upstairs to a computer terminal with a touch screen, and then I put in my password, and I would enter all those things in, and then it would spit out a report on how to stack them. Okay. And then I would go down and give those reports to the guys and say, these are going over here, and then there was a stack report. And anything that was big that had a tipping report would go into the main cargo bay, not the side cargo bay. So I didn't have to worry about how tall it was or the tip. There was a tipping report, but I didn't have to deal with that. So that was my job. Okay, so with your job, you're saying you're like in the Navy, they have a term. It's called doing stores. So it's like you bring supplies on like in my case, it was a ship, and then you have someone manage what, like the what do you call it? What you have to inventory. You have to do like an inventory, what comes in, what comes out, and that's what your job basically was. Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And in the morning, my report, when I was at those reports, when they turned on the English so I could understand them,
yes,
they wanted to know how much empty space was available in my cargo bay.
Wow.
I had that report in front of me, and I would say I have 6,000 cubic feet left over. We have this, and I would have to read off what I had in inventory and how much space was available.
So this inventory that you had, what type of things were on this inventory, if you're able to share?
Everything under the sun. We had boxes. We had giant boxes that were made out of stuff that I didn't know what it was.
Okay.
Like a graphite. We had 55-gallon drums. We had cardboard boxes. We had wooden crates. We had military surplus. There was a time I remember we had like 10,000 pairs of boots.
Okay.
That was just left over. That somebody didn't need it, so we took it back to Ceres Colony, and it was issued to people that lived there. They wanted boots, just like fashion. We took clothes, we took coffee, we took
really.
Yeah, we would take plants. We took all kinds of stuff.
So these plants or the coffee is grown in these
like packaged coffee
from Earth or from there?
Yeah, from Earth.
From
we
Earth.
picked up a lot of things at Diego Garcia. You know where that's at?
No, I've heard of the name. Where is that?
It's in the Indian Ocean. It's in U.S. Naval. It's a U.S. base. It's a bomber base, an Air Force base.
Okay.
Well, we went there in the middle of the night, and there were only a few officers that had security clearance. And we would stop there, and they would know. Everybody else was asleep, and we would come in there.
Oh.
And there were times when we would wait on a shipment. And it would be late, and we would go out in the ocean. They let us go swimming. They would drop cargo nets down. We would go swimming.
Wow. So this
while we were waiting.
So Earth is like a depot of supplies to bring up. Yes. Oh my God. So this is really exciting. So I could easily speculate then that not only are they bringing coffee and muffins, whatever, they're bringing people, because I believe there's a human trafficking that's going on.
We trafficked people, and we weren't supposed to talk about it. We felt awful about it when we had people. We got pulled over by somebody. I think we stole people at one point.
Okay.
We stole people from another colony and sold them, and took them to the Kuiper Belt and sold them. And then that colony found us after we had dropped them off already.
Yes.
And there was a tense moment. I remember that on the ship.
Wow.
But yes, we took soldiers. We took soldiers that were mind controlled as well.
Oh wow.
And they were silent and with black face masks.
Yes.
Full black, and they were they were like robots.
Okay.
They were hardcore soldiers. We took them. I remember we took and there was and they answered to a invisible sound like a dog whistle.
Yes.
And you couldn't hear the whistle, but they would.
Oh my goodness!
Wow. It was a silent whistle, like a dog whistle, but they could hear it. The soldiers could hear it.
Okay.
But they were in full uniform, like a full thing. You couldn't see their face. And when they said them and sit down, they all just sat there. Boom.
So were these people, those soldiers were from what they call the secret space program, or are these free soldiers or the enslaved?
They could not have been free.
Okay.
They were completely and utterly
I got
obedient.
you. I got you.
They were on another level of obedience.
They
were like robots.
Wow.
They were machines. They were people.
Were they from Earth or from another?
We did not pick them up on Earth.
Okay.
Where did we get them? It was always a Kuiper Belt place.
What does that word mean? A what belt?
The Kuiper Belt
I don't know what
that
word.
Very outside of the solar system.
Okay.
On Ceres, we were pressed for real estate. They didn't have a storage.
Wow.
They did not have storage on Ceres for as fast as they were building it. And there was under heavy construction. Mm-hmm. The train routes.
Yes. Every
couple months, there'd be a new train route. You'd go to the back of the train station on the map and go, whoa, there's a new one. Mm-hmm. I didn't go there because I was just, it wasn't interested, but you could see a new train route because they were building it aggressively. But there was never enough room for our cargo. So there was an asteroid. There's a base out in the Kuiper Belt, which is like ice. And there was an asteroid out there that belonged to the Ceres colony, and we stockpiled things there.
Wow.
And so we took things back and forth.
Wow.
I think we picked up those soldiers on series. We went from series to the Kuiper Belt, or series to somewhere else. We took them somewhere.
Mm-hmm. Now I want to find out more about what you feel comfortable in sharing about the like you mentioned the girlfriend that you got there, that she was a slave. Could you talk about the relationship of how they get these? Where did they get the women from? Who were they? You know, could you elaborate?
The woman didn't remember the life they were from, but they did remember where they were. You know, like the one girl, we always tried to figure out where she had a Southern accent, but she didn't know where she was from.
Mm-hmm.
She was American.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other girl, I think, was European. But there were always three girls on duty.
Okay.
Like I said, so anyhow, so my day was this.
Okay.
The very first day that I had freedom, where I could go in, where I had money to buy a train ticket to go into the colony.
Uh-huh.
The very first day, the officer was joking with me. He said, "Make sure you go to the red light district."
Mm-hmm.
And what is that? He said, "Oh, just trust me. Just make sure you go there."
Wow.
And he said, he was a German officer. He was joking with me.
Yes.
He said, "Make sure you go to the red light district no matter what. Just go straight there. You just don't mess with anything else. That's where you need to go." And he was laughing about it. You know, it was a joke.
Yes.
But so anyhow, I ended up going there every day because I fell in love with a girl that worked there, which was basically a whore.
Okay. Okay.
But anyhow, so in the day, my morning, I'd get up and we'd do our flight.
Yes.
I'd work an 8 to 10 hour day and come back, and it was 8:30 in the morning.
Wow.
A.M.
Wow.
So I'm serious. So I would go to the red light district to a strip club that was also a brothel. It was like an American strip club where the girls are dancing and stuff. But then you could buy the girl and take her in the back. There were rooms in the back, and you could purchase her and go have sex with her. That was basically the business model. But there was nobody there. It was the morning.
Okay. Now all these girls were from Earth, or were there any prostitutes who were, let's say, an ET?
Not there.
They're all Earthling girls.
They were stunningly beautiful Earth women that were taken out of their life randomly, and so some they were all different ages, and they knew how long. And we all knew how long we had been there. Like my girlfriend was only out there 7 years, so we knew she had 13 years to go. But I had already been out there like 18 years. I knew I was close. I only had a year or two left, and we knew it. We knew it.
Wow. Do they, like you mentioned in one of the interviews, that they check your DNA compatibility? When they got these women, sex slave women, did they have to check their DNA for compatibility?
Absolutely. Yeah. Wow. They got the DNA that qualifies for it. Yeah. And like I said, I think, again, I'm going to speculate like with the president thing. I think there's more than one way to skin the cat. Yes. I think that there's more than one version of 20 and back technology.
Okay.
In other words, like a television is a big tube TV.
Yes.
But then they have the flat screen TV, and then they have a projector TV. None of them are anything mechanically like the other one. Yes. But they all do the same thing.
Yes.
So I think that they have many different methods of taking you and putting you for 20 years or 40 years and putting you back. And I think your genetics determine which one they use.
Okay. Now,
so some of them use cloning. You may be a clone of yourself with your consciousness taken and put into your clone. They may all be like that.
Okay.
They may be it may be cellular reconstruction where you live 20 years and they give you drugs or some radiation that makes you revert to back to your 20 years. Like you lose 20 years of your life in your body. They say guys that were age reverse and lose their tattoos, any scars, they all go back to exactly how you were.
Wow.
So who knows if that's a way too? I think in my case it was cloning.
Okay, because you did mention that they said that you're a clone after he
called me clone.
Okay.
Yeah. I was referred to as clone or slave, depending on where I was.
Okay. Now these women they were you mentioned that they were from different parts of the world. Were they, let's see, were any of these people, all of them were of European extraction, these people in the brothel? Were there any from like Africa, China?
Not in that particular one, no. Like I said, there are always three girls and then they would change their hair.
Okay.
Often, very often, but they usually tried to have a blonde, a redhead, and a brunette.
Okay. Okay.
So no, they did not have African women. Maybe they did. But no, and then like I said, I was there in the mornings. It was rare that I went there and it was packed at night. I was only allowed to stay there until the place filled up.
Did they have male prostitutes?
Not there, not at that one. They did, but not at that place.
Okay.
So anyhow, but there were always 3 girls on the shift. Sometimes there were more, and then there would be ETs in there as customers. The men that came in were ETs often.
Oh my goodness! And what did these ETs look like?
They were all different kinds of. A lot of them look just like us.
Really?
With a few slight differences, with different sizes of different proportions.
Now I want to make for clarity's sense, when you say that they look like us, you mean that they look like Europeans type people. They didn't look like me, they look like
no, they would be people that there were ETs that would look more like an African American than a European. Yeah, oh yeah. There were ETs that came in like that as well.
Wow.
Yeah. But different. But you know what I mean? But clearly not human. Clearly not a human.
Okay. So you're saying that there were ETs of different colors, but they were definitely not from planet Earth. They weren't the groups that
There were blue people.
Huh?
There were people with blue skin.
Okay.
And there were people, and you know what? It was common for a lot of the races that we interacted with to be very, specific. Like it was a high crime. It was a big crime for that race to interbreed with another race.
Really?
Like the blue people it was a very high punishable crime for them to interbreed, to have a relationship with anybody else. I think that's why the sex trade did well, because it was a taboo thing in their culture. Like a person, like an ET, like many of them. I don't want to say all of them, but it was common to hear that they were not allowed to date anybody else but their kind. So interspecies relationships are frowned upon.
Yes.
Because you could have a kid that's a hybrid that doesn't exist. That, you know what I mean? Like you can perturb, and then that kid go back into the race and change the whole. Eventually, theoretically, if you have 10,000 interspecies relationships, those children could go back into the species. They could be born and look just like, you know what I mean? That the original species of you could, just because a blue person and a human have a kid, it could have a blue kid, but its kid could be a human. And so it would contaminate the entire species. So it was very, very, it was very policed.
Okay, but
between them, that's a big deal. That's a big deal.
But I heard Tony, that a lot of these UFO scenarios, that they come here to get DNA
on purpose.
That's what I heard. So how could this is contradicting?
No, what that is okay. So this is just one speculating scenario, right? And you can build onto this, and you can build this any way you want.
Yes, yes.
Let's just break it down to apples and oranges.
Yes.
I'm an ET, and the planet I live on is mostly methane, and oxygen, or whatever. Some gas and oxygen is what we live in. So we need a certain kind of diamond. I'm just making this. I'm just making this up.
Yeah.
For instance, we need a certain kind of rare radioactive diamond. And we found there's none in our galaxy. So we get on this bulletin board between all the galaxies in these races, and we look. Oh, so there's one in this galaxy, in the Milky Way. There's a planet in the Milky Way that's got these diamonds, and nobody's there. We can just go mine it. But guess what? It's an oxygen atmosphere. It's an oxygen argon atmosphere.
Okay.
Not like the Earth either. Like me and you couldn't breathe there. So what they do is they come through the portal of Jupiter.
Yes.
Earth is a pit stop, a genetic pit stop. They come down, they go to Earth, and they grab some people, they hybrid up, 50
Okay.
people. Then they give them surgery so that they can breathe in this atmosphere.
Mm-hmm.
Then they take them to that planet and they clone them, and there's 10,000 of them, and they have a workforce to dig these diamonds up.
Wow.
And I'll tell you what, everybody, and here's the other thing. I've had a lot of people go, well, they would just build a robot. You're stupid. There's no way that they would do slavery. They would just build a robot for that,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
You would think that on that level of technology that you would build a robot. And I'll tell you right now, it's way easier to just use people.
Mm-hmm.
I've been saying this a lot lately. I saw a meme that said, congratulations on 2018.
Okay.
You know, last year you took this many million breaths. You walked this many steps.
Yes.
It said you used the same electricity last year. In 2017, you
Mm-hmm.
used the amount of electricity to keep a light bulb lit for 24 hours.
Wow.
That's how much electricity you used.
Uh-huh.
All year. Think about what you did.
Uh-huh.
There's no machine that's even close to that efficient. I don't care.
Uh-huh.
There's no machine that's that efficient.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's just easier to just use people.
Uh-huh.
You can mind control people. You can genetically alter them. We're a pretty blank. The human race. Look at us.
Uh-huh.
We can be many different colors.
Yes.
We can be many different sizes.
Yes.
We can be many different behaviors.
Mm-hmm.
We're a very basic, like a garden run of the mill genetic template.
Uh-huh.
We're a pretty easy template. You can take a humans, and if you can genetically modify,
Yes.
you can build anything you want that's smart and can handle. And then mind control them or just program them that this is what you do. When you wake up, believe me, when you wake up with no memory of where you just were,
Uh-huh.
people that tell you what you're about to do, that, oh no, this is your life.
Mm-hmm.
You were built for this. You're a diamond miner.
Wow.
You're gonna go, I want to be the best diamond miner I can be. Let's get at it.
Okay.
You're not gonna go set me free. I want my rights. You don't even know. You don't have the knowledge. Those women that were in that sex slavery,
Yes.
they didn't go through the trauma-based mind control that I went through.
Mm-hmm.
I asked them, I said, did you get the drugs and stuff? No.
Wow.
When they were taken, they woke up with amnesia. They had no memory of where they were, and then they went through the bondage thing, and they were repeatedly raped, and they were told that that's what they were for. Was for sex.
Wow.
And they were raped and raped and raped. Or after a point, it wasn't rape because they were programmed. They believed that was their existence.
Wow.
They believed that that's what they were for. They were taught that there was, and the one girl, my girlfriend, was on Earth. She said that she was at an animal hospital.
Okay.
Taken to an animal hospital, and there was an apartment she lived in. She was locked in an apartment, and then men would come by only once a week and have sex with her.
Mm.
And the rest of the time, she watched TV. That was her life for the first year of her 20 and back. Then she went to Mars and was in a brothel there that was illegal, and it was like endless soldiers. And she said that was like endless, like all day long. It was your typical, like the women went there all day long of having sex one after another.
Yeah.
She said it was brutal. She hated it. It was long. It was antagonized. And then that got in trouble. Something bad happened. There was a death or something.
Okay.
And that got shut down, and she was sold to Syria, to Chrome on Series.
Wow.
And she said that she liked the Series gig because she could say no. In Crumbs, if she went into the back and somebody was disrespectful, she could say no, and they had to leave.
Wow.
So she didn't have that as a prostitute.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't have that ability prior to that. And she'd only been up 7 years into her 20 and back.
Wow. So she did her initiation, as I call it, on planet Earth, and then they prepped her to go to Ceres to do the work there.
Well, to Mars. And
Mars.
She said she went to Mars, to a city there, and it was like military. It was like a really high volume prostitution place.
Wow.
Wherever she was, and it was illegal. There was something bad. There was something bad about it, and it failed. And then she got sold off. Like all the girls that were caught there got sold, and she ended up at Crumbs. And
she doesn't remember where she was from at the time when you knew her. Because a memory wipe.
Yep.
And wow.
So she knew she was going back, and she said she used to joke and say, and I said, "Don't you want to?" We were madly in love with each other.
Okay.
We were madly in love with each other.
Okay.
I mean, really. I mean, one of the top love affairs that I've ever experienced. We were deeply in love, and I said, "Don't you want to remember me? Can't we find each other when we get out? When we go back, I'm going to find you." And she said, look, she said, whatever they give you to make you forget when they put me back, I'm going to order a double shot. She said, I want 2 of them. She said, I don't want to remember any of this. Really? I don't want to remember none of this. She said, I believe I'll never forget you, but I don't want to remember a thing.
Wow.
She did not. She hated her life. I had a lonely existence.
Yes.
I was a professional.
Yes.
You know, I had a profession.
Yes. Yeah.
So I had a bit of respect. I was treated like a piece of equipment and didn't get abused. She was a prostitute. Yeah. And from time to time, she was abused. Great.
Yes, I bet.
She was forced to have intercourse with other species that she didn't want to. Wow. But that was just her thing. That was the job, you know.
Frightening.
So,
frightening. That goes
on.
Mm-hmm. Amazing.
Well, the other thing you got to think, here's the other thing that when the Germans first went up there, they were the first ones up. The Germans did it.
Yes.
World War I was about money. World War II was about space flight.
Okay. I thought so. And that's why.
And then after that, we're all trailing the Germans. They went up there first. The United States and Russia got the Operation Paperclip, the scientists.
Yes.
And then they went up after, but it was too late. The Germans had already acquired so much technology. Yes. They had a huge lead on anybody else that's up there.
You confirmed my speculation. I did a video recently because I was trying to put the dots together with regard to the Germans, and that the World War II was about them getting the technology to leave, and that's why the U.S. and Russia got involved, and the Zoom in Berlin to get the notes or whatever about these programs.
A lot of people say, well, if they could go into space, why didn't they win the war? Well, it was because they had just, by the end of the war, they acquired the technology before the war. They said, oh, we're going into space. We know we're going. Mm-hmm. They figured they had the tech, but they didn't have it built. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? They had the ability. Yeah. They built one and it went and gone and worked.
But they had a base in Argentina. But
that didn't take shape until the end of the war.
Okay.
It didn't become functional. They didn't have operating vehicles. You know, you're not going to win a war with one UFO.
No, okay.
And there's reports that they tried to put a cannon on it. They had one UFO and they were going to put a cannon. They put guns on it, but it doesn't. The guns don't work in the anti-grav field. They would fire the bullets and it would they didn't work. So they didn't get that figured out until after the war. Okay. And they put a beam weapon on it. A beam weapon.
Yes. Well,
that's why. So anyhow, the early Germans didn't have anything to trade for tech. When they went and met an ET race, who really is not a good guy or a bad guy, you got to let go of that.
Yes.
You got to let go of it. They said, "What do you have to trade us?" Well, we got some girls. It was slaves. It was slavery. That's the only thing they could trade for technology. They needed a better spaceship. They needed life support systems. They needed portal technology. They needed the medical technology, how to heal people. They found all these beautiful technologies these aliens had. And they said, will you show me how to build a med bed? Will you show me how to build a bigger spaceship that can portal itself? A ship that can portal? Because right now we have to fly from A to B and take a portal. Can you build a ship that'll self-portal? And they said, well, what are you going to give me? Well, all we have are slaves. We have people.
So you're telling me and our audience that when the Germans left planet Earth, they went with slaves to barter?
Yeah.
So they knew.
No, not in the beginning. But what I'm saying, when they got up there and found that it was that they didn't have anything that other species would want.
Okay.
Other than slaves.
And who did they use for the slaves? The initial, if you know.
I imagine they used a lot of women in the first place. You got to think they had some Jews laying around.
Okay.
I don't know. You know what I mean? That's something I don't know.
Okay.
But you can speculate all day long. But I'll tell you right now that that's all they had to trade in the beginning. So if that was the case, then the entire slave trade boomed, and they kept it. So even though it's wrong, it's kind of what they built their breakaway civilization on, was slavery. And the 20 and back technology is perfect for it. Think about it.
Okay.
So let's go back to my situation. So at the end of my 20 years, they put me on a ship and flew me back to the moon, and I went through a bunch of surgeries again.
Wow.
I had to sit still on a table. It was a Graves, and I was combative. And they gave me stuff to immobilize me, and it was like weeks. It was a long time that I couldn't move. They put a tube in me, so they fed me through a tube.
Okay.
And they gave me injections, 1 million shots, like all through my body every day. Every day. They would come and give me shots. And then after a while, and then they put me in a machine, and it felt like I was being cooked, like big spots of pain. And I woke up, and I was a kid again, back in time.
Wow.
And I was back.
Amazing.
There's a lot that happened because they knew that I was going to remember. They can see the future. They have chrono vision that they could see in the future or the past. They have a machine that does that.
Really?
And they knew that I was going to remember, and they kept altering timelines and memories. They kept working on me, but they ran out of time eventually, and then put me back. I woke up the next morning in 1982,
okay,
or whenever that year in 4th grade, and I went to school. I got up, and I went, and I was just as shocked as I was ever during that process of being taken, of being back. I woke up in my bedroom of my 9-year-old. I'd lived to the age of 29.
Okay.
And had a girlfriend. I had few women, had been through all that service, that slavery.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden I was back to being a 9-year-old.
Wow.
And then those memories were blank, were gone. But it was still me. I was still grown up.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, I was still emotionally that person.
Yes.
My emotions were the same.
Yes.
I was emotionally a 29-year-old space program guy.
Back
into my 9-year-old body. I got up the next morning, went down, and my mom never made breakfast. We just kind of got Pop-Tarts and out the door. And she had a full spread of breakfast waiting for us.
Wow.
They told her to, and she said, I don't know why, but I just know I got to make breakfast today.
Really?
And I thought, it was just eggs. We didn't even have toast. We didn't have anything. And it was just like eggs for breakfast. She scrambled eggs, and it was me. And I said, I was so happy. I was the happiest kid on earth. And I thought, I feel like I said it. I said, I feel like I haven't seen you guys in years. Wow. I said, I haven't seen you guys in forever. My sister was 5 years older than me.
Okay.
She said, you were just here last night, you dummy. Don't be stupid. Like, don't be dummy. And my mom kept asking. She said, Michael, he's got a mark on his neck. What's this? My dad just kept telling her, be quiet, Natalie. Don't talk about it. Quit talking about it. And she said, but he's got a mark. And he was like, shut up. And he was like, I think they took him too, to be honest.
So it happened to your father also?
I think my dad did a 20 and back for labor as well.
Shoot.
And then he got up and went to work. And so I went to school that day. And literally the day before, it was the same time of day, I had to go to the bathroom.
Yes.
4th grade, elementary school back then. And I raised my hand to go to the bathroom. And I said, can I? She said, sure. I said, okay. And I said, could you tell me where it is? And everybody laughed at me. But she's like, Tony, quit messing around. Go. I said, no, seriously, I don't remember where the bathroom is. I forgot where the bathroom was located.
Wow.
Because it had been 20 years for me since I'd been there. Because my teacher got concerned. She called home to my mom, said I had amnesia that day.
Okay.
And, I should go to the doctor. But everything else kind of meshed. But all of a sudden, I was attracted to adult women.
Yeah.
I was 9. But all of a sudden, my teacher was sexually attracted to me. I didn't know what sex was. We didn't have the internet as those kids. So I wasn't exposed to pornography or any of that. I didn't know what sex was. Okay. But all of a sudden, in one day, was a sexual person.
Yes.
Because I had lived it. Because I had those emotions still in me.
Yeah,
I still had that identity.
Yes.
And then they made there were a few checkups after they checked up on me.
Did you have like dreams, like let's say that a week after you got brought back, did you have like nightmares or things?
Totally did. And but it felt like I would dream the events when they happened. Oh. So 1982, but so there was 2 of me going to 2000, 1982 to 2001. So when this one got hurt in combat, I would dream it here.
Oh, wow.
When this one saw the geyser on series, I would dream it here.
Oh, wow.
I had a complete personality change.
Wow.
At the end of the 20 years, when it was over, when that person died, and went back in time, my personality changed completely.
And what did
I
it
woke
change?
up one day. Literally woke up a new man one day, and I went, "It's over." I kept saying to myself over and over, "It's over." I didn't know what I was talking about, but it's over. It's over.
Wow. I understand what you're saying.
I couldn't keep a girlfriend for the life. Every time I had a girlfriend, I was like really emotionally damaged, like possessive and whatever. I couldn't keep a relationship for very long the whole time. You know, I just wasn't there. After that day, it was only a few months later I met my wife. I've been with her ever since.
Wonderful.
Going on 18 years.
Wow.
But do you know what I mean? Because of the emotional damage.
Yeah, sure.
Of that other person. It's like twins. It's like twins where one person is hurt, the other one feels it. And so I experienced that. And when that other person went away,
yes,
I was able to be myself, be normal. I went back to normality, or at least closer to it. And then after I got the memories, and like I said earlier, when I could assign why I eat food fast.
Yes.
Not only that, but with emotional stuff. When I got all the the relationship memories back, then I was able to sort out that part of my life too.
Wow.
And so it's really been I haven't been, you know, a healthy person for very long in my life.
Wow.
Only since I've had this time back.
Wow.
You know, I mean, like I've always been, you know, a normal guy, but I haven't been really emotionally healthy for long.
Wow. So that,
and you got to think times a million. There's something like 5 million people involved. I hear people say there's 10 million people that are taken, or 15 million or something like that on the worldwide that are up there that have been taken that are doing 20 events. It's in the million.
Wow. See, this is very important because I've been hearing a lot about the human trafficking. Like I live in New York City, and last year they had this march, and it's most of them were women. They were to wear all black, and some of them had like black tape across their mouth, signifying that they're not permitted to talk, and it's to bring awareness of the human trafficking. So this is, I mean, they didn't make mention about, you know, the secret space program.
Well,
but
nobody knows about the tech. Everybody knows that everybody knows the abusers are out there. But we don't know that the abusers that have this kind of wonderful technology that they're keeping from us. And I again, speculating, but I've said this before. So, I mean, if you were just the guy working in the department, you know, you're some nerdy guy, and then all of a sudden you could take anybody you want. You could take Marilyn Monroe.
Wow.
You could take an A-list star and do whatever you want to her, and then put her right back without her remembering. I mean, you got to think.
Amazing.
It's a slippery slope, and you got to think that a normal person that's not ready for that is going to abuse that.
Sure.
You know? If everybody speed, do you speed? Have you broken the speed limit?
Me?
Driving? You? Yeah.
Yes.
A little bit, right? Me too, right? I speed quite often because I'm not going to get in trouble for it. Because most of the time when I speed, I look around, there's nobody around, and everybody else is speeding along with me.
Yes.
So I speed freely.
I got you.
When you see a cop, slow down. When you take a slave, nothing happens to you, and everybody else you deal with has a slave too. You do it freely because it's just like speeding. There's no consequence.
Yes.
And that's what's going on up there. They got into space. The good aliens didn't want anything to do with them. They said, "You guys aren't ready for this yet." The bad aliens, and like I said, not bad, but they found people that are bad that say, "Sure, we could use some slaves.
Wow.
I'll give you this." They traded, and so that began the culture. So now you see why it's got to be so secret, because then because 15 years later, 20 years later, the United States got up. The Germans went up.
Yes.
Then the United States went up, and they were like, "Oh, everybody's got slaves. Whoa, how do we do this?" And then the Russians got up there too, and they found out that there's you know what I mean? There's people, there's trading with there's sex slavery, there's slavery. There's wars going on. There's things going. It's Wild West in some areas.
I want to interject something here. When you said that it's like a race now with this human trafficking, I was watching a video 1 or 2 days ago, and there will be these loud booms. Is this I'm speculating that it's the spacecrafts up above, that they're warring up in space, and these big booms that would happen all over the U.S.
War now. There's been a war going on, according to other whistleblowers. They said that there's a war, and they say that there's been so many underground bases that they've been portaling miniature nukes into.
Portable what?
They use the portal technology, the transporter, and put a miniature nuke into the base and nuke it.
Oh.
And that's caused, if you look, remember that month, it was in 2015?
Uh-huh.
There was something like 20,000 more earthquakes than normal that went on for a month.
Okay.
You remember that? There was even earthquakes here in Michigan.
Okay.
And there's no earthquakes here. There's no fault line here. There's one in Ohio, but there's no earthquakes. And all of a sudden there was like a 4-point on the Richter scale earthquake in Michigan.
Okay. Okay.
There's whistleblowers that are saying that those were nukes going off, that they were warring underground bases, that they were nuking them. No. And coincidentally, that was also the same, that month was, I think, April of 15. That's another coincidence. That's when I began to remember everything.
Oh, wow.
Also, a year after that, in the beginning of 16, most people that I deal with, they tell me that they began to remember everything about that. So there may have been certain forms of suppressive technology that aided in the memory blanking. There may be active radio signals that keep people suppressed. Like when you begin to think about something that you remember, the signal blocks it. And so that got took out. And now all these people are remembering now.
Amazing.
Because there's a lot, because there are thousands of people. And I've had hundreds of people reach out to me with memories. Some of them are worse than what I went through.
Wow.
There have been a lot of people that have been through much worse than what I've seen. There have been a lot of people that have been through much better. And some people, there have been people that said that they've been taken by ETs that were not the secret space program, that treated them great. And it was a positive experience.
Okay.
But the same thing with their memories blank, with their memories erased. Because that's the law up there. They can't interfere with our free will, or can't interfere with us. So that was the other thing. They always beat our head over. They'd always beat over your head. I said, this is wrong. How can you sleep at night treating us like this? And they would always say the same thing. You're not going to remember anyway.
Oh, wow.
You're not going to remember it anyway. It doesn't matter. So that's why there was no anesthesia.
Because you're not going to remember it. But
you're not going to remember it anyway. Wow. That's exactly what it was. When I was, why can't you give me something for the pain? You're not going to remember it anyway when we're done. So that's kind of like part of my mission. That's kind of what helped me, you know what I mean, fueled me. I want them to know. That's why I do these interviews.
Okay.
Somebody up there is going to know one day, maybe not today, but in the future, they're going to look back. This guy remembered.
Yes.
You know, people remember it. So it's wrong. I mean, it's wrong.
It's evil. It's very evil. What you, I really commend
evil
you.
Evil is selfish.
Yes.
Selfish.
Yes, they are.
And they've told so many lies. They've buried a lie with another lie that they can't. They can't come out with the truth. Without hanging themselves.
Wow. Wow.
So that's why it's this big war going on, and that's why they're going to have to give it to us in doses that they can, for them, not for our sake.
Okay.
It's not that we're not ready for the truth. They're not ready to tell the truth.
Yes.
Because they have to live up to how they treated people, because they've had, because they've been raping people.
Wow.
That don't deserve to be raped.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
They've been taking people. They've been treating people like prisoners.
They are prisoners.
We're not prisoners.
Yes. And that needs to be exposed. And that's also why I'm doing this, because slavery is supposed to have been abolished. And I'm hearing more and more about the human trafficking and the type of things that happen to children, the Pizzagate, the Pedogate, and it's wrong. It's wrong to take innocence. You are a young 9-year-old, and to inflict that type of evil upon you. You know, it has to be exposed, and that's also why why I'm doing it. I want people in the community that I'm from to know what's going on around them, because the only thing you know about is what's happened in your immediate area and what the history books teach us about slavery, but to know that slavery is happening now, and to know that there is a trafficking, not just children, but women and men, and it to be underground base and what do you call it, on another planet. It's wrong. It's
with a breakaway.
Yes. So I'm curious about the bases on this planet Earth. Are they like bases, like underground bases, like I live in New York? Are they what states do they have these bases?
You know, I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know the exact, but they're all over.
Okay.
There are many of them. It's not like they have one or two or a dozen. There's probably hundreds of underground bases. I guess that, you know, I've read that there's an entire government underground.
Wow.
In case our government is destroyed, there's an entire United States government. There's another president, another Congress, everything living in giant cities comfortably underground that are ready to take over in the event of the United States being wiped out.
I see.
That they used money from the Cold War to do that, and that there's an entire, like when you think about a breakaway civilization,
yes,
like the Germans lost the war. They lost the war, so they just broke away. Instead of trying to take over the Earth, they just went into space, and it was obviously more profitable for them to just go into space and leave the Earth alone to its troubles. And they came back later and infiltrated the money system and the CIA, the intelligence community. Is basically the Germans.
Okay. Now I was curious, like in the series, the colonies on the other planets, what type of do they use money?
The Sirius colony had money. There's people that debate on whether or not they had money on the Mars colony, but the Sirius colony had money. They had. I got paid. I had to walk to the end of the hangar. It was like a bank. There was a trade window for ETs to go to that didn't use money, and they would get an account. They would get so much money given to them if they were a species that didn't use money, which there was many. And there were others that, they could trade, and like they could come and say, you know, I've got.
What did this money look like? Was this what the Germans used in Germany? What did it look like?
We called them francs there,
okay.
And then. They were like, it looked like paper. There were a few different kinds.
Okay.
You could get a chip. You could get like a card. You could pay for the facial recognition where you didn't carry any money and it just knew your face. When you went somewhere, it would just take it out of your account. You said, okay, do you want this? Yes, boom. You could talk to something, and it was facial recognition. And then there was paper money, and that's what I got because I didn't make enough money to pay for the card service or the facial service. It was a monthly fee. So I didn't make enough money to pay for that. So I just kept the paper money, and it was German. They called them francs.
Yes.
And they were Germans on there, like the old World War I battle scenes would be on the back of it. Okay. And it was written in German.
Wow.
So I didn't get much. It was like $20 a week. Was my basically, and it was only for the last 2 years I was up there that I had a paycheck. The rest of the time I didn't get anything.
So what did your when you were able to have leave, so to speak, and visit the towns? Now, were these cities underground or on top?
On Ceres?
Like Ceres or Mars, or the moon?
The Mars they would always have like a protrusion that would come out. Like the one dome I was in was a dome underground. And clear. Okay. But at the very top, you could see the sky.
Okay.
Like the dome was underground, and at the top, you could see dirt blowing by.
Yes, yes.
Just on the top of the dome, and it would let sunlight. It had palm trees. There was a water fountain there, you know, in that area. So and they were geodesic, but they were underground.
Okay, and that's.
And Ceres was 100% underground. Wow. They had little observe stations, but they were trying to make it to where if somebody flew by that they wouldn't see anything.
Okay.
It was totally they were trying to be not discovered.
Wow. Now, I'm just surprised why someone would want to live underground and get claustrophobic. I'm thinking, I like living above.
Oh, they were gigantic. They were miles big. Wow. 300-400 foot tall caverns. There was, like I said, the one cavern had a replica of a European city in it.
Really?
It was miles by miles big. It's very huge in there. And then they had fake skies.
Okay.
They were just getting the digital sky, the fake digital skies installed when I was done at the end of my time. And so right around 2000, they were getting the fake skies put in. But most of the big caverns or the medium caverns, the small, they painted a sky and clouds on it, and they would shine lights on it. And then they had lights, and then they would turn them down at night. They simulated day and night.
So this,
the girls hated it. They always wanted to hear when my girlfriend always wanted to hear it when I went to saw the sky. Okay. What did it look like? Did you see? Were you in the sun? Did you get any sun? Did you get any sun? It was a big deal. They hated it. They were sick of the darkness.
Yeah. Oh, wow. So this underground city now, they made it look like that you were outside, but you were inside. They could make it look like you're at a park and all this stuff.
Yeah, well, yes, there were places that were like a park bench and plants.
It had grass.
Yeah, but not much of that. It was mostly like a city street. Okay. And they had like planters with plants. But then the lighting was what they did to make it look like daytime. There were times when it was very brilliantly lit.
Wow.
During the day, yeah.
So do they have farms? So people.
No.
So where they get their food?
They replicated it and they imported it.
Oh wow.
So a lot of the restaurants that was the thing. A lot of restaurants, they would brag about it, real food.
Oh my goodness.
They would brag about that at the restaurant. And the replicators were different quality. Like the replicator in the front of the ship in the command section had 20, 30 buttons of different things you could eat. And the one in the back in the crew section where I was a little cubby hole. Okay. And there was a bathroom and then and there was only like 6, I think it was 8 of them. It was 6 or 8, something like that, choices. But in the front, I mean, there was a ton of buttons on it. It was a bunch of stuff that those guys could eat off there. So there were different quality replicator machines.
Wow. Did they have like when you're on the ship, celebrities? What do you call like celebrities, actors, musicians?
No, it was a military deal. It was a military. It was a totalitarian military government. Okay. There was no. I mean, they did. And the other thing is there were a few times in public they had rounded glass, clear glass. It was a TV. They'd come up. There were times they had sporting events. There was boxing.
From planet Earth?
There was some, on Earth. They would show stuff from Earth, and then no. It was from somewhere else. I don't know where it was from. But it was like fighting. There was a fighting sport of guys fighting. Wow. And it wasn't on Earth. It was somewhere else. And I remember that I was just like, I couldn't watch it freely, so I didn't even want to watch it a little bit. Yes. You know what I mean? So I didn't want to watch a show because it's not like I'm going to watch it tomorrow. I was just passing through. Okay. But there was like a television. Wow. With news and everything. Most of the time when I went somewhere and saw it, like waiting for the train, they had a TV there, and it was the news. It was news.
Now this is news from that planet. Yeah. Wow. And what did the newscasters look like?
People, just normal people.
So they look like German people, or people from that background. Okay. And what type of news what was going on?
It was always about the politics.
Politics.
Yeah. It was always about there was once when there were times there was like, I forget the system, but there was always a way of like people wanted more space. It was always them explaining why people couldn't have something on the news. Really? It was like, we can't do that because we're out of space. And people want to do this quarter, but there's been a break. Like it was always a status of construction. There was once when wasn't the president, but the guy there got murdered. One of the leaders got murdered while I was there. And that was a big deal. That was like Kennedy getting killed. You know what I mean? Like it was a big deal on series, and it was their leader, and he had been murdered. God, that had to be about 96.
Wow. Now,
95, 94.
Now their election,
1994.
So their elections, they're like they
No, he wasn't elected. He wasn't elected. It was a military. It was like he was a general.
Oh.
He was the Führer.
Okay.
It was Heil, whatever his name was. We did the German salute.
Okay. Now, I've been watching some video. This particular YouTuber interviewed people who knew about the Third Reich, and they mentioned that Adolf Hitler, he did not die in the bunker, and that he was brought over eventually to South America, and that he actually died in the United States getting medical treatment. They said that,
they talked about him. We did talk about him a lot, and it was classified.
Okay.
Like they said even the leader of Series,
yes,
didn't know where Hitler went.
Wow.
They said he lived. There was a whole nother history that they taught the kids there. That I remember because the guy that I worked with would say, my history is completely different than yours. I went to school here.
Okay.
And he learned history completely different than me. He said there was a lot of stuff that was different. He said Hitler made it out, but it was super classified.
Yes.
And the high command is in the Antarctica.
Yeah, they mentioned something about Antarctica, but they said that he could have died. There were two stories with Hitler about when and where he died. Some reports say he was alive at least in the 1960s, but another story said that he actually could have lived up to the year 2001.
I think he was dead already by the time I was out there.
And he died he
was already dead.
Yeah, he died in the U.S. They said that they had brought him from Argentina to the U.S. for medical treatment, but he eventually he died here. But no one knows where he's buried and everything. So I was wondering if it was discussed if they made a clone out of him.
I don't know. That was all like really they did talk about him a lot.
Oh, they did.
But it was classified. It was a classified thing, and those guys were supposed to live long. They had technology that was the leaders were using to live longer.
Okay.
The other thing I wanted to point out, what I was going to say earlier was that. So anyhow, they said, "Welcome to the Series colony. You're the most advanced colony." But I remember looking around and like the steel, like the ceiling in the hangar, was rusty.
Wow.
So it was old. I mean, there were places there that were like the area where I went at the end of the hangar.
Yes.
Looked like a 1920 or 1940s marble building.
Really?
It had marble steps. It looked like an old 20s or 30s construction.
Yes.
A lot of places, and they had a lot of columns and just older construction, and then they had newer construction.
Mm-hmm.
It was an old place.
Where did they get the supplies to make these buildings from?
They brought it in.
From Earth?
There were vehicles there. Yeah, there were vehicles there from Earth.
So I'm thinking, how are they not going to be noticed when they leave with all these big supplies? That's what's blowing my mind.
When we picked up a Diego Garcia, we picked up an LCAC. You know what that is?
No.
A hovercraft. One of the Marine Corps hovercraft, one of the big ones. The big troop transport ones.
Really?
We picked one up there one time, and in order for them to put it on our ship, they had to cut it down the middle and take 10 feet out of the middle of it, and then weld it back together. All the systems and everything in it, in order for it to get on our main cargo bay in the back.
Wow.
So then the officer there, the United States officer, there was a United States officer that was there to let us know if anything was going to break.
Okay.
Let us know prior to loading up. And there was another officer, an accountant officer, that made us sign a piece. And anybody could sign it. Any slave, even the slaves could sign. I could sign it. I signed off on it sometimes. But when I signed it, there had to be another person.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyhow, that officer one day, I was there and I checked what was taken.
Yes.
And then we were waiting for another signature to come down.
Yes.
And that's what it had to be, a commissioned officer, okay, to come down and sign it.
Wow.
He said, you guys are running up quite a tab. You guys are up to like $50 million.
Whoa.
He said, this time, you guys got to pay your bill. I heard it from my guy, you got to pay our bill. So then I went to the next morning in the briefing. They said, is there anything anybody wants to say? And I said, raise my hand. I said, the officer yesterday said that we're running a tab. We need to pay our bill. And they all erupted into laughter.
Wow.
The whole table, all the Germans started roaring laughing.
And why was that?
Because they don't pay anything. They just take what they want.
Oh.
It's free. Because that's where the black budget money goes. The officers think that we're paying. The administration thinks that the Germans were paying for the stuff that they took.
Yeah.
They're not paying. They're not paying nothing. They're paying nothing. We took nuclear missiles from China.
Okay.
Into space.
Really?
Every time we took up payloads, we had to do the radiation protocol. We had cargo of nuclear missiles.
Yes.
On cargo that we took into space.
Yeah.
Free of charge. The Germans are in control of the banking system and the intelligence community. They've infiltrated and they took that over.
You mean the intelligence community here on Earth you talk about?
Yeah, worldwide. The KGB, the CIA, the Mossad.
The Germans?
The German breakaway space program and the reptiles are in charge of that.
I'm shocked. Please elaborate. See, this is the meat. This is real meat that you're talking about. This is very exciting.
Well, after the war, they got technology where they could infiltrate. They got cloning technology. I assume they got consciousness transference technology. Let's say, for an instance, let's say that what they did was clone me.
Yes.
And my clone was a vegetable.
Okay.
Okay, so a healthy body with no mind.
Okay.
And then they took my mind out of me, put me in my clone, which makes sense because I wouldn't remember anything because I have a new brain at that point. Right?
Oh, wow.
Then they could put implants in it and alter it surgically. Oh. And when it was done, they could take my mind back out and put me back in myself, just time travel, which is a piece of cake when you got a portal. And then I wake up with no memories of the clone's life. Right?
Wow,
so that settles that. Now, let's say you use that technology and I want to get something done. Okay. I want to pass a law.
Okay.
20 of us just go and switch our consciousness with Congress. We go in and vote the law in. Then we go back and switch our consciousness back. Congress wakes up with a headache. The law got passed. Oh, really? I guess I must have passed that.
Really?
Think about that. Think about the president of the United States having his they come into his bedroom, portal him out, consciousness transference with a high-level operative, put him back. The next day, it's not the president. It's somebody else in the president's body.
Oh,
he does his job for a week, whatever they want to get done. Then they take him back, same thing. The president wakes up with a headache. Oh, wow, what a weird week I had. But they can put false memories and all that. So at that point, they took the CIA and they took the banking. So this was after World War II.
Wow.
After World War II, they acquired that technology down in Antarctica and on the backside of the moon, trading with the Draco reptiles, the reptilians. Wow. They made a treaty with them.
I've heard, okay.
Okay, so then they were able to take over any department on the world that they wanted. So they just did that. So now when the accounting guy says, wow, the Germans ran up a tab, the German breakaway fleet, we owe them $100 million. Where does that going to go? That's going to go into the blacks program, not the front door of the Pentagon. It's going to go into the basement of the Pentagon in the black program, into a black budget that nobody knows about, that even Congress isn't privy to where the black money goes.
I want to try to process what you're just saying. You're saying they have this trade going with the Nazis over in the other planets, and these Germans, there's a bill, but they don't pay it. But the Germans have insiders on planet Earth, and they get these budget money that they don't pay, but these programs hidden in planet Earth, what you call black budget, and they get this money from that fund to pay those people their bill.
Yep.
So this could be.
That's how the goods happen. So when they need Jeeps, They get another planet somewhere. They need electric vehicles, Jeeps.
Yes.
Let's say whatever. They just have a contractor whip them up. The bill goes to the American taxpayer for a ridiculous amount of money per Jeep. And then it goes into the black budget system and it's classified. It's need to know basis. The United States taxpayer pays for it. The Jeeps get on a boat and they go out to Diego Garcia, secure one of the tops where they have the stealth bomber for the entire Western hemisphere stationed.
Okay, so I didn't know about that.
The stealth bombers are stationed there, so it's the most highest security clearance. Wow. They roll the boat in there into the harbor. They unload all the Jeeps. They put them out on the tarmac. In the middle of the night, a big ship comes down from space, loads them up, and disappears in 30 minutes.
Oh, wow. And again, to remind me again, Diego Garcia is in the Indian Ocean.
Indian Ocean. Now, here's how I remember Diego Garcia. Now, listen to this.
Okay.
So, this was the running joke on the ship. So, you were in the Navy. You know that it gets pretty boring, and you guys lightened it up and made jokes, right?
Okay, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
So, one day we said, somebody came in. We're in the department. We're in the cargo. And somebody came in and said, "Where are we going again?" Said Diego Garcia. I said, "That's a Spanish name, right?" And the one guy said, "No, that's an Italian name." Oh. With a Spanish last name. Diego's Italian.
Okay.
And Garcia is Spanish.
Yes.
And I said, and then somebody else said, "But it's in the Indian Ocean."
Okay.
So then we all started cracking up. So then we went down there and we said, "Wait a minute, this is Chinese cargo." They came on a Russian boat to an American base.
Oh wow!
With an Italian first name and a Spanish last name in the Indian Ocean for the Germans.
Yes.
Like that. We would just tack on every day.
Yes.
Every day we went back there. It grew and grew and grew and grew.
Yes.
So you know what I mean?
Yes, that is funny. It's showing that we're all interconnected in this illicit activity.
But that was the running joke.
Yes.
You know? Yeah, a lot of the cargo came on from China, from Russia and China.
Really?
Singapore and whatever. It would come from Singapore. But we took Russian surplus too.
Okay.
From there, but it would come in, and on the left, if you look at Diego Garcia, there's two. There's a runway, and then there's two like big parking lots.
Okay.
The one on the left side is the one we would pick up most of the time. They would have it waiting for us. We would go down, and we had anti-gravity loaders.
Okay.
So what it did was here's my dental floss again. So let's say there was a box.
Okay.
The ship would come in, and the ship was hard capped at 10 meters.
Yes.
About 30 feet. It could not go any lower. It never landed. It did not have landing gear. The computer would not let the ship ever get any closer than 10 meters from the surface.
Wow.
About 30 feet. So what happened was there was a laser would mark it so that you knew to stay away. It was a white laser.
Okay.
And it was a bright light like a laser beam, but it was white.
Okay.
It would mark it, and it would go, and it looked like the light was lifting it up, but it wasn't. It was invisible. It would make a vortex, a gravity vortex above it. Okay. And if you got near it, you could get injured. Wow. So they had the light shine on it. And what it did was it had a little joystick. Yes. And with a little screen with a target, and you would put the joystick on the stick and then hit the button, and it would lock it. It would let you know if it would lock the shape of it. And then you would turn. There was a stereo dial, and you would turn it up. Yeah. And as soon as it would kind of wiggle a little bit. And then as soon as it went up in the air, you locked it, and the computer would put it up for the guys.
Wow.
And so it was a gravity loader. And so then again, and then as soon as you locked it, it would take it. You were already aiming on the next one and doing this process repeat. And that's how fast we could load things up. It was quick.
Amazing.
And then there were 4 guys inside the cargo bay.
Yes.
And they had, for the heavy stuff, they had anti-gravity stuff in there. But they didn't need to. It was 4 guys on each bay that would just grab stuff and take it. And the big stuff went into the back. They had a bigger loader in the back. Okay. And then we also had cranes. We had regular swing-out cranes with cables that came down in case we were in weather conditions where the vortex loader wouldn't work. Okay. In heavy sandstorms or snowstorms, it wouldn't work. There was something. And so we had cable cranes that would do that.
Amazing. So I was curious now, like you mentioned about that these Nazis have control of planet Earth. And so I'm wondering, how come then?
It's more complicated than that.
Yeah.
It's not the Nazis have control. It's the Nazis don't want to run Earth, but they. I can't speak for them. I don't know. To be honest, I was a slave.
Yeah.
I don't know the exact landscape, but I know it's more complicated.
Yeah, I'm sure.
It's far more complicated.
Because with my trying to rationalize, like, you have groups here who, I don't know how to say this nicely. Like, you have people who claim that certain groups in the banking fields that dominate, but if these Germans have real control, how do I like, some people believe that, like, people of Jewish ancestry may have
Kazakian mafia Jewish.
Yeah,
that run the Rothschild banking system.
Yeah, I want to be thankful because I'm not here to make fun of any group.
Me too, right?
Yeah,
I get it.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, they do, but what happened was they're up there too. They're all trading with each other.
Really?
Because that's who owned me. The Rothschild banking elite are Satanists.
Okay.
Just like that guy that had me. The Illuminati guy.
Okay. Wow.
So they're all doing business with each other. And like I said, I was traded from one compartment to the other. You know, it wasn't the Germans that took me from my house.
Oh.
But when they were done with me, when I was done, then I went to the Mars colony, which was American made. But then when the Americans were done with me, they retrained me. I took aptitude tests, and then I was sold off to the German colony. So they all do business under, it's like a corporation. It's like, it's like when they build a car. One corporation doesn't build the car.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like there's a whole corporation that just builds doors.
Yeah. I guess my confusion is that, see, I was taught that the bad Germans and then the Jewish people who were victims and the Holocaust. But if you have a Jewish person doing business with the Nazis in another planet, so I'm a little confused.
Right, because we've been lied to greatly about it.
So it's the cover story.
Yeah.
The World War II was a cover story.
Look, this is a big speculation on my part. I'm going to speculate again. This is just what I think.
Yeah.
I think Hitler, and I think World War I was about money.
Okay.
Was the Jews taking over in Europe. Not just Jew. I hate even saying the word, really. I detest being so profiled.
But yes.
The bankers were Jewish. That's all that Hitler knew about the bankers. He didn't know who they were.
Okay.
So his answer was to kill all the Jews.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
He said, I can't kill all the bankers, but I know that the bankers that are out to get me are Jewish.
Okay.
So we'll kill all the Jews.
Okay.
The bankers.
Yeah.
And that's how he was going to win the war.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
He didn't know which ones were. It wasn't all Jews. It was the bankers that he was after.
Yeah.
And the only way he could do it was to kill every single one of them. Which is megalomania.
Yes.
You know, which there's no way that was going to happen. But that was the strategy.
That was his mindset.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. Because he knew that there was a hidden group of bankers that was pulling the strings of all these wars in Europe prior, the Rothschild dynasty, financing both sides of the war.
Yes, that's what I heard.
Then replacing the victor's bank with a central bank, and then printing everybody's money, and that's what they do.
Yes.
And so they won. But what happened was the Germans lost that war.
Yes.
But the breakaway group was able to infiltrate the bankers.
Yeah. Okay.
And so what they did was reach a truce, a stalemate.
Okay. Okay.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like when the Rothschilds took over, they didn't stamp out the royalty; they just married into it.
Okay.
When the Rothschilds took England, when they took the Central Bank of England, and the English royalty figured it out, they couldn't do anything about it, so they just married them.
Okay.
So then it's fine. Everybody owns the company, the family company. If it's a family business, then you just marry the family. Two adversaries fighting over the family business, and they stalemate. So they just married.
Okay. Wow. And so
I think it was the same thing. I think that the space programs work kind of the same way. And really, the elite of the space programs, they all work together. It's all just one group of elites.
So when did this space thing come about? My reason is this, that again, this is speculation also. I don't believe that it was World War I or World War II that these transportations to the other planets. I believe they had to have some link. Things just don't happen overnight. And I think that these aliens, whatever, were involved with humans.
No, I guess there was a treaty for ETs to not directly deal with humans after Muhammad. They call it the Muhammad Accords.
Oh, and I'm not sure. That, I don't know about that.
The Prophet Muhammad, the Muslim Prophet Muhammad. After that time of Muhammad, the ETs all signed a treaty to not interfere with our development ever again.
So they were here before Muhammad, you're saying? They've
been here all along, the whole time.
Oh, wow.
They've been here the entire time. We've forgotten we're not a species that's 100,000 years old. We are millions of years old. We've been here for millions of years. Our history's been erased from us. We have amnesia as well, as a species.
Wow.
What happened was they signed the Muhammad Accords. When was the Muhammad? In 600 AD or
yeah, something like that. 600 something AD. Yes.
If you look back in lore, all the old tales of monsters and the wolf man and all the old tales were before then.
Okay.
All the old legends were the fairies and all that. The Shangri-La, the land, all that stuff was before the 800s. After that, it's like all that stuff just turned out. It's just a legend. It's not real.
Wow. So
because the ETs quit dealing with us in the open. Wow. They had to go secret. So what happened was the Germans made it out there. So it's basically whoever makes contact can do business.
Yes.
And in the beginning, so the story goes, is Maria Orsic was a psychic, and she channeled it was the Thule Society the Vril Society in Germany in like the 1880s or 1890s.
Yes.
Or late whatever. You can look this. There's a lot of info on this.
Okay.
But in a nutshell, basically the Vril Society was a bunch of psychic women.
Yes.
They got together and they met, and they were all kind of like high class.
Yes.
So they had access to occult stuff.
Yes.
And they got together and channeled, and Maria Orsic was one of the more powerful ones. And she started to channel readings that made sense, but she wrote pages and pages of gibberish.
Yes.
It was like a weird language.
Yes.
And so her dad was a high-ranking government official.
Yes.
And one day he was saying to somebody else, to a professor, that his daughter was a talented psychic, but he couldn't make any sense of what she was writing.
Yes.
He showed him. The professor went, "Whoa, this is a language," and he took it to the University of Munich and found out it was ancient Sumerian.
Oh, wow.
That she was writing verbatim ancient Sumerian. So then they translated it, and what it was plans for a UFO. It was a blueprint.
Wow.
It was blueprints to build a UFO, the Hanabu 1. So what happened was her dad also then went to the German government, and they funded 2 of them. One was going to be for her. She said, "You're going to build one for me. I keep it. And then you can build one for you and keep the plans."
Okay.
And that was the deal. And the Hanabu 1 was built first. They tested it, and she flew away and never came back.
Oh, wow.
I guess it was a star nearby, like Altair or Altair star, one of the closer stars. And she went there. She said, "I'm going to go there and meet the person that told us this."
Yes, yes.
And she never came back again.
Wow.
So the Hanabu 2 happened, and then World War II happened.
Oh, to get the knowledge.
Because they knew about it, right?
Yes, that's all what it's about.
So they stashed it in Antarctica. They had they had their hot rod. They put it in Antarctica. They couldn't figure out how to weaponize it. World War II happened. They lost.
Yes.
But they still had their secret base in Antarctica. And they let the German high command go. But by now they had treaties on the backside of the moon with the Draco. and they were able to explore the locals. They went to Mars, and they were able to set up just small bases, like camper-sized bases, trailers up there on the back of the moon and on Mars. And they said, and with their place, they had a big place, well, a pretty big place in Antarctica. So it wasn't the Germans; it was a group of Germans.
Okay.
It was a department of the Germans.
Okay.
It wasn't all of them.
Yes.
So the Germans lost, because they had the knowledge. They didn't have the ability to go in space, but they had the knowledge. They went, whoa, there's space. We need to take over. It all made sense. If you think about it like that, all their decisions made sense then at that point. And apparently there were wars going on in space as well between other species.
What I want to ask you, that you mentioned something about Mohammed, and that the ETs at the time after Muhammad, that they're not going to directly interfere. So I was just wondering, why did they decide at that point? Did these ETs, did they introduce this religion? Because like the Quran talks.
All I know is that after that, they called it, well, and this I've heard from other whistleblowers. It's not something I know from my time up there.
Okay.
I really don't.
Okay.
This is what I've heard from other whistleblowers, and it just makes sense with everything else. But there have been more than one whistleblower that says that there's a Muhammad Accord.
Okay.
And what it is a treaty between the ETs that humanity cannot be interfered with.
Okay.
So that's why they don't help us. They can't help us, and they can't hurt us.
Tony, a couple of I think it was over a year ago, I did I put up a lot of videos, and again, my channel is really me learning about who I am, learning about history, trying to put the dots together. Now, I did a video about I'm trying to get my thoughts now, about what they call the transatlantic slave trade, where they took and kidnapped African people, primarily from the west coast of Africa, and brought them to the Americas. Do you have information as to that scenario, why that happened? Because like in history books, they say like Columbus was to go to the east to get spices, whatever. He wanted a short route to there, I guess for a monopoly, whatever. But he came across the Americas, and then shortly after discovering the Americas, they incorporated the slavery in the Americas. So I was wondering, now trying to put the dots together.
What's crazy to me is they say that historically that it was really only something like 2% of Americans owned slaves.
Okay.
But there were a lot of slaves.
Yeah. Yes. And
so these 2% were very rich people.
Yeah. The program that I watched just yesterday or today talked about this. It was like the 1 percentile of the colonies, like at least in the British colonies of the east coast of what we now know the United States. Only 1% elite had these slaves, but they had massive amount of slaves. So what I was wondering is, were the ETs, was the real thing regarding the slave trade that we kind of know of in the Americas, was this really about the ETs and them taking
well, I
people?
think that all the way back to the Phoenician times, and before that, so 1000 BC, they were using, I think that there were ET intelligences that were using us for resources. I think that the Phoenicians were a global race, and they could sail around the world, and they were taught how to do it by ET.
Okay.
And what they were doing was gathering resource, gold.
Yes.
And silver. What it was is there was a time when silver was worth 30 times more than gold in the ancient world, or something like that. 10 times, 20 times. And King Solomon had access to all the silver. Nobody had silver, but King Solomon did. And he had Phoenician ships that were rumored to go around the world. There's a lot of info about it, but I think that, and then he was gathering gold. He was the richest man ever, and then no one ever found his treasure.
So they probably took it and brought it
They
to.
were taking it, exactly. One ET or a group of ETs
Yes.
with knowledge, with one UFO,
Mm-hmm.
could get all those people. They had millions of people working for them, gathering gold. So you think about it, one ship, they could come down here, act like God.
Yeah.
Tell King Solomon, you're in charge. If anybody messes with you, we'll know. We'll help you. You make them sail over here. We'll tell you where the silver is. Then you make all these people get gold. And then when you get all the gold, we'll be back next year.
Yeah, but
we'll be back and take the gold.
Because,
and so what happened was that began a cult
of
elite leadership.
Yes.
That was also the same religion of human ritual sacrifice. So they could sacrifice somebody, and these ETs could communicate to them from wherever. They didn't even have to visit here. They didn't have to take the time to come here. They could communicate through ritualized the satanic rituals.
Because they feed off of them. They feed off of the energy.
I was communicating while I was drugged.
Yeah.
So this was thousands of years ago that they did this.
Oh, wow.
So the ETs aren't even breaking the law of being down here.
Okay.
So I think that cult has just been around for thousands of years. 6,000 years, 5,000 years. It's a death cult, and they're in charge of everything. So. And
that's the Draco. Which ETs primarily do that?
I don't know. I'm gonna. You know, the go-to bad guy is the Draco reptilian.
Okay.
So who knows? I don't know for sure.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. So this, it could be speculated then, as you mentioned, with the Phoenicians, that there was a communication with an ET race. They didn't have to. The ETs didn't have to be physically here. It was a mind-to-mind telepathy. And you said that they
physically visited now and again, and then they kept in touch by other ways. But what I'm saying is that was slavery. And so the Phoenicians went to Carthage. If you look through history, the Phoenicians went to Carthage.
Okay.
And then that was overthrown by Rome, and Rome was the first Reich.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense.
So Rome was the first Reich, and the second Reich was the Kaiser or whatever. The second Reich was Germany, and then the third Reich was Hitler. Hitler said, "We're the third Reich," and now the Germans in the series are the fourth Reich.
Wow.
And so, and you know what? Another whistleblower, Randy Kramer. I talked to him on the phone one time. He said, a lot of people say that they act like Germans up there. They act like the old Germans or the Europeans, but really, they're like the Romans.
Okay.
And so, and that's really what it was like. You know, in Rome, you could buy your freedom.
Okay.
And on Sirius, you could buy your freedom. Yeah. There was always that carrot. Remember I said they had ways to motivate you?
Yes.
They always said, if you did good enough, you could possibly earn your freedom. You could earn it.
Wow.
And they were just like the Romans. They were not like the Germans. They were like the Romans.
You mentioned also about the DNA compatibility. What type of DNA are they looking for to do what they did to you?
But typically the blonde Scandinavian races.
Yes.
That's where the Germans get the Aryan supremacy thing from.
Yes.
It was a genetic thing, and those people can do a 40 and back. They can be gone longer.
Really?
They can do consecutive 20 and backs. I only had enough genetics in me to do a 20 and back. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Like I could go once, but the whiter races, it's not that I'm speculating. It's just that I've heard this.
It's what you understand. It's okay.
They can do a 20 and back. Okay, so it works like this. You're taken. There's another of you. You do 20 and back. This one goes back.
Yes.
Then a few minutes later, they can do from this. Here you're taken at 10. They can't take you again at 10. So when you're 20, 30 years old, they put you back. This one's done. This one's died. They can take you again and do another, and you could end up doing 40 years.
Wow.
And so that's like a genetic thing. It's a racial thing. And like I said, did
they design it that way, that it has to, that the compatibility is with German type?
Exactly.
Oh.
They could be genetically engineered that way.
Oh, so they get their own kind there.
Right, because you got to think that the current model is that that the African race is older, is closer to the original man.
Yes, yeah.
Which I just went to a conference. They found that there's a lot of information that's wrong. But like the Aboriginal people, the Aborigines are like closer to the original. They're saying that there's evidence that shows that the people out of Africa that went out of Africa and went everywhere and evolved are not related to the people in Australia.
Oh.
That the Aboriginal people were there. It's a different thing. They said they didn't come out of Africa. Well, and they didn't come out of Australia. They're two separate people. They're not related.
Okay.
They're not even related.
Interesting that you say that. But I not to be contrary, but there was a show on genetics a couple of years ago that I saw, and it was entitled In Search of Adam, and that genetically they found that that the Aborigine, the Chinese, genetically their root is based of original African genetics, but then it was a change that happened. The scientists want to use the term evolution, that they evolved, but what I speculate, well, they said that the people from Australia, they are genetically related to the African, but they've been away for so long. But I speculate, though, with the genetic change to form what they call races, in particular the European race, that I think the ETs mix with the original inhabitants of Earth and form the European. What's your thought about that?
Well, you know what? I was at the conference I spoke in Australia.
Yes.
It was Dr. Stephen Strong, and he's the one that's found this theory. And what he's done is he's found remains of people. And on a farmer dug them up. He's also found like Stonehenge, like an Australian Stonehenge.
Okay.
I've got his website here, and he's got a book coming out.
Okay.
But what he's found is that there's a DNA that the dates don't match up on that theory. The out of Africa theory happened at the exact same time, and they said it would have took thousands of years for the people to walk from Africa to there. And he said they found older remains in Australia.
Okay.
That don't have any DNA. That don't have the same DNA. It's just they're not.
Okay.
They're not the same people. He said, and the reason he said when I go to people, he's been threatened with being put in jail. When he went to his college with his findings, they were going to fine him $500,000 and revoke his credentials, and he was threatened with like 20 years in jail or something.
How could someone be how could someone be thrown in jail for?
Well, why would they want to lie about it? Because it doesn't make any sense. Because it totally destroys evolution, human evolution.
Definitely,
it totally destroys it. It destroys it. Because if people didn't officially start in one place from monkeys, and then become hominids,
that's the narrative.
Homo sapiens, and then then that means that there was parallel development. And how could that be?
Yes.
It opens the door to the ET thing.
Yes.
Not only that, but he's found remains that are not human.
Yes.
Like they found in South America.
Oh, okay. I understand what you're saying now with the
I'm looking at his website right now. It's forgottenorigin.com.
Okay.
So he's found there, it's all there. And he's got a book coming out that's going to be pretty groundbreaking with this research. He's really forgottenorigin.com.
Yeah. And his name is Stephen Strong?
Stephen Strong, yeah.
I met him,
a great guy.
How do you spell the last name?
Strong, just S-T-R-O-N-G.
Okay. Oh, like strong, like a muscle. Okay, strong. Okay.
But what I'm saying is that the ETs, I mean, we have been a resource for higher ETs. Now, that's the other thing that we haven't covered is, so, you know, I love my dog.
Yes.
But he only speaks 20 words.
Okay.
You know what I mean? He understands my words. He understands a dozen of my words, and he's got a few words.
Okay.
But he doesn't speak many words.
Okay.
So he's a dog. He's a lower intelligence.
Uh-huh.
Right? That sounds bad, but it's true.
Okay.
He doesn't, he's a very smart dog, and
Yes.
he's a soul in there, and I love him. I feel love.
Yes. Yes.
And he's smart. He follows me, and he does he does things. He's smart. He behaves. He surprises me.
Uh-huh.
But I believe that I'm a higher intelligence than he is.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I can do basic algebra, and I can read and do things.
Okay.
He cannot.
Okay.
Right? There are other beings that are that high above us.
Yes.
And that's that's another secret they don't want to tell us. We're not the top of the food chain.
Yes.
And then those other beings that are above us,
yes,
there are more beings above them.
Okay.
Just as high.
Okay.
So there are very advanced beings out there, and the Germans were always trying to suck up to them. The blue people that we dealt with, were highly advanced beings. They were highly advanced Mayans. Were highly advanced.
Were the blue beings the same ones in the movie Avatar?
No, they were human-like. They were beautiful. They were beautiful.
Okay.
People. They were people. They're just blue. They were taller. All of them were a little taller, but they were beautiful.
Wow.
That was always the thing. And they were worried about the genetic pureness. Remember I said that?
Yes, you did.
So we always joked about dating one.
Okay.
The guys, when we sit around, be like, what's my girlfriend? I'm going to get a girlfriend one of these days. My chick's going to be one of those blue girls. Because it's just it's impossible. But we always joked like that.
Yes, yeah.
I'm going to date a blue girl.
Okay. You know what I wanted to ask?
Against the law for them.
Yes, yeah. I wanted to ask you another religious question. What, in all of what you experience with the different races and the Germans that are living there, what about religion, what they call Christian? Because a lot of Germans were Catholic or Protestant, So where does religion play in all this? What they call Christianity or Judaism or Mohammed religion?
No, as far as
do people go to church?
A church there? No, there wasn't one that I was aware of. Now, the German people, I think that the general populace did have places like that.
Okay.
But I didn't have any. I never saw one. I never had access to that. And the entire program from day one worked very hard to destroy any belief in God.
Oh, okay. Okay.
The people, they really did. They really worked at it. Because it doesn't make sense to train a soldier that in the law of one. Are you familiar with law of one?
No.
The law of one theory?
I've never heard of that term.
That we're all fragments of the same consciousness. We're all basically, there's only just one mind in the universe.
Okay.
We're just fragments of it.
Okay, so, I've heard of something like that, yes.
So really, if I were to murder you, the experience you go through is actually, I'm going to feel it too eventually when I percolate back to the bigger consciousness.
Okay.
And so you and me really are the same person. That's the law of one. So it doesn't make sense to train a soldier to go out and kill a bunch of himself. So they don't want you believing in any of that at all. There's no God. You're not going to call on God because it's easier to control people like that.
Oh, definitely.
Somebody with a deep faith is not controllable. Especially when you're telling them to murder, rape, or steal.
I guess the angle that what I mean about
slave.
Yes.
If you believe in God, you really can't be a slave owner.
Yes. I guess what I'm really coming from when I talk about religion, because see, I was raised in my 20s. I was introduced to Christianity, and I was a devout Christian, but but I no longer practice that. But when I started learning more about the secret space program and everything, and the possibility of what they call ETs, it changed my paradigm shift, because how do you introduce, how could you explain the Bible and its history of man, but you got some ET, and we could have been
that
genetic.
was one of the things I read, when I was a teenager, and I still remembered being taken.
Yes.
I knew something was, I remembered physically what he looked like, the reptile.
Yes.
And so I read the Bible looking for any of that. I read the whole Bible a couple times. I read as much religious stuff as I could.
Yes.
And I just couldn't find it. I found the Buddhist stuff allows for other life.
Okay.
In the universe, the Chan Buddha, I believe. A few of the Buddhism is basically says there's other people on other planets, and they knew that before they knew about other planets.
Okay.
So that was real to me, but the Bible, I think, was just so heavily censored.
Okay.
Throughout the years, the Bible really is not the original Bible at all. It's really not. And but up there, practicing religion, I lived the life of a prisoner up there. So if there was church every Sunday, I wouldn't have known. I wouldn't have known.
I see.
And like I said, they worked very hard. Not only did they want us to not believe in God, they wanted us, slave population, to be afraid of our own shadow. They wanted us to be afraid of everything.
Yes.
Because the other thing is you're not going to manifest your escape or your victory if you're scared of everything.
And could they read you? Could they read your mind when you're working? Was it like
they watched us? They had camera. They had the ability to watch us working.
Okay.
There was mechanical telepathy. There were machines that could mechanically talk to you.
Okay.
And there were people that had side effects from them. There were some people that always got bad headaches from it.
Okay.
Like you could go to the ticket machine and look at it and go, that one, I want to buy that. And they would beat about, are you sure? Yes. And it could read your mind in that regard. There were simple machines like that. But as far as while I was working, if they were in my head, I don't believe so. I don't believe that. No.
Okay. Because I was wondering whether they could, let's say you think, I want to make an escape. I want to escape from slavery. And they can read your mind.
I can guarantee that I know they don't. I know they didn't. Well, okay. So there was sex. It wasn't me, but there were guys that I worked with, men that were having homosexual affairs at work.
Okay.
And that was not allowed, and because they would just go to where there was no camera.
Yes.
So they weren't being caught doing that, and that was strictly forbidden. That was against the rule on the ship. Like that was okay for them to do that off the ship, but not during work hours. It was punishable. You'd get in big trouble, and there were guys that got in trouble for it because they got caught on camera.
Okay.
But there were people that were sneaking around doing that on the ship.
Yes.
That didn't get caught. So there was no. Obviously, it was just a camera system that they were beating.
Okay. That would make a lot of sense. So were there people like did people on board the ship or yourself do what they call meditation? And the reason why I asked this question,
the command crew did. And you know what? The thing is, they talked a lot about amongst themselves in German, where I couldn't understand it. Okay. But there were, they were pretty well self-concerned.
Okay.
They were about a better me. They were, you know what I mean? Like their focus was becoming a better person for them. They all wanted to be promoted. They all wanted to advance themselves. They all wanted to be smarter. They were really obsessed with being better people. Like almost too much. So I don't think that there was on a religious thing. I think it was a law of one twist. I think it was a version of the law of one.
So that they advance spiritually.
To ascend, right.
Okay. So did they, let's see, did these people, these Germans, did they, what's their lifespan?
I don't know. I think that they were. I know that they spoke about living longer than us
on planet Earth.
That they had a longer life expectancy. The crew that I worked with.
Yes.
The one guy was kind of a psychopath, and he enjoyed picking on us. And he used to say that. He said, "I'm going to live longer than you." Yeah, you don't worry about it. I'm going to live longer than you. And they had drinks in the morning that I wasn't allowed to have.
Okay.
They had coffee for me. They had their own drink for them. And so it was something like that. It was some treatment.
So it's like a definite class distinction, even on your ship, regarding the Germans there and you and the people that you work with.
Well, and they were all born of Syria. They were all born up there.
Okay.
So, well, I don't know about all of them born completely up there, but they resided. They were like residents of Syria.
Wow.
They were not. They were not a citizen down here. They were not an Earth people.
Okay.
The guys on the ship that were in command, all of them were from Syria, lived on Syria.
And how old were these people, at least visually, what they looked like to you?
They all looked like 20s and 30s.
Oh, they were young.
Mm-hmm.
They look young.
There wasn't anybody old on the ship.
I'm thinking they're all like in the 50s or 60s.
30s.
Oh, they were
40,
young.
You know what I mean? Like 20s, 30s, everybody.
And they had children. Were they married? Did they have children?
Yeah.
Really?
Yep.
Wow.
They had home lives. They had women at home. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, like I said, we got home the same day. It wasn't like, in Star Trek, they make it look like they go out to space for months and months before they can get back to Earth. It's not like that. They leave in the morning. We can go anywhere in the half the universe and be back home for dinner.
Were they able, these officers on the ship, now, are they able to have get wives from planet Earth? Let's say they got bored with their women and have bring.
I don't know. I don't think so. I mean, I don't know, but I don't think that they were very arrogant.
Oh, they were. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
They liked them. They
were better than everybody. They were better than everybody. They were better than the people on Mars. They were better than the people around Saturn. They were better than everybody on the Earth. They were better. They were the best.
They're people on Saturn?
Well, on the moons around Saturn.
Okay.
All the moons. Mm-hmm. Pretty much all the moons, I think, in the solar system are inhabited by somebody.
Wow.
We couldn't go to everywhere. We couldn't go to Pluto. We couldn't go to Venus.
Wow.
There were organizations there that we didn't have relationships with.
And these organizations were non-Earthlings.
Non-Earthlings, yeah.
In origin.
More advanced.
Wow. Wow. Tell me, I saw this.
I guess Venus was very advanced.
Really?
Like even the United States, even the Marines couldn't go to Venus. Like the United States program, nobody could go to Venus.
Oh, wow.
It was an advanced place.
I have this question. There's his name is Berggren. I forget his first name. He has a book that's called The Ringmakers of Saturn. And he was interviewed by a woman by the name of Kerry Cassidy. She's with Project Camelot.
Camelot, yeah.
And
I'm a little familiar with it.
Yeah. So I was just wondering, this Berggren, he was like an engineer. He may still be alive. He'll be about 96 years of age if he's still alive. And this interview that Kerry did in 2012, he was going on 91 at that time. And he said that he had a very high clearance. He had like above top secret clearance. He had a clearance that was above the president of the United States. And he said that he was on a ship, a Navy ship. And he said it was the same ship that carried the Apollo 11 crew on this ship.
Oh, wow.
And then he mentioned that, how'd it go now? He said that there was I forget whether he said the term picture or image, and that this picture/image was of I think it was a craft, and this craft had what looked like people that had black skin, a jet black skin race And he said the minimum size was at minimum of 7 feet tall, minimum. So I was wondering, when you were out in space, did you see any black ETs?
I did. Well, I did see a reptilian race that was shiny black.
Okay.
They were reptiles. Like they had scales. Scales. And they were shiny black. They were black.
Okay.
Shiny. So I saw them. I don't know a humanoid race.
Yeah, I picture how he described them. He just said the coloring and their height. He didn't give details, but I assumed how he spoke of it. They looked like humans that were extremely tall and very dark skinned. So I don't think they were. I think he would have said that.
I didn't see any personally, but you know what? There was a lot. Like I said, I wasn't allowed to talk to them. So there were many times when I was around in public with the ETs where I just ignored them.
Really?
No, you know what I mean? Where there would be an ET and it wasn't a big deal. It wasn't a big deal to me.
Really?
At that point. I mean, no, really. I mean, is your television a big deal to you?
No, but you're dealing with something that's real.
100 years ago would freak out about your TV. Like, did you watch the TV while you were there? It's not a big deal. It wasn't a big deal to me then.
So at what point in your being kidnapped and everything, outside of the grays that you initially saw, when you got to when you were an adult and you're on a ship, was there a point at that point when you saw an ET and you were afraid of them and then you got used to their presence?
Yeah, that's a good question. It was in the beginning. I was not scared. I was happy that I discovered them in the very beginning.
Okay.
And then when I first went into the training, the bug deal.
Yeah.
That was, by then I was already used to the grays. In the school situation.
Okay.
But then when I went to series, it was kind of a culture shock when I began to see them. But then I was under strict orders not to mess with them at all. A lot of the taller ETs were from lighter gravity.
Okay.
And a lot of the shorter ones were from heavier gravity.
Wow.
There were gray, like built like a gray, but blue.
Okay.
ETs that were advanced, that were like 10 to 14 feet tall.
Wow.
And I rode a train with one, a female one. It was crazy. And I wanted to speak to her, and she was laying, she took 2 seats up.
Okay.
She laid sideways on, and she took up two seats of the train, benches. She took 2 benches of the train up. And she was just beautiful. And there was an effect when you looked at her. There was a sparkle effect. It was an effect. It was like a jewelry, but it was in the air. It was like a hologram.
Really?
Only when you looked at her, but when you looked away, you didn't see it.
Okay.
When I looked at her, it was like there was sparkles.
Wow.
Yeah.
And what type of clothes did she wear?
She had a long white, like a dress, like a silky, like a long white, not a dress, but like a robe.
Okay.
And
wow. And did they have hair?
Nope. She had like a hat.
Okay, a hat. Okay. Wow. And what was her features like? Did it look like?
She looked like a gray, kind of a gray shape, like a gray.
Okay. Wow.
But with some detail. I remember there was something there. I don't remember exactly what. I only glanced at her.
Okay.
Like when I was getting on the train.
Okay.
And she's right there. I walked in the door and she's right there. And I looked at her and I went, just blown away. And I went, looked away, and the shimmery effect. Like I wasn't looking at her. I was looking at the shimmery.
Yes.
It was like a jewelry that she had. Or it was some kind of tech that was like an effect. It made an effect.
And everybody. Now, this train that you were on, it had all different type of species on board, not just.
Well, they were small. They were small trains because there was only like 20, 30 people that got on at one time.
Okay.
But I rode it often.
Okay.
I rode it 2, 3 times. I rode it probably 4 to 6 times a week. I rode it. I didn't go every day. I couldn't afford it. So it was like every couple of days I would go see my girl.
Amazing. So I'm just curious now. Now, this was on series. Now, I was just like you mentioned that the Germans on your ship, that, you know, they did, like, so to speak, their 9 to 5 and they go home to their wives and family. I was just wondering, when these people go to sleep, or even when you went to sleep, did you have dreams?
Mm.
And what were those dreams, since now you're doing?
They were different. They were different. The typical, it's hard to explain, but there's a different feeling to,
I would imagine.
The dreams weren't the same.
Okay. Do you know about with the German people or an ET who told you their dreams? Did they dream?
You know, we talked about it, but not really. We didn't really talk about it that much.
Wow. Because like I think what I'm getting at here when I talk about dreams, like some people, like they do what's called astral projection. Have you ever heard of that, astral projection?
Yeah.
And I was just wondering, okay, that's my car. Let me fix that. Okay, I was just wondering whether or not they do astral projection and like that they themselves go into a different dimension that's even higher than the people can go here, and what experiences that they had.
I think that was another thing, part of being afraid, why they made you scared.
Oh.
I think that put you, limited you, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But speaking of, it's 1:30.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow.
I think we did 3 hours already.
Wow. I don't even have my watch. I don't even have my. Oh my goodness. Amazing. Wow. Wow. Yeah, it's all up to you how you want to play this, but it's very understandable because you know you have a family and everything.
No, yeah, I'm gonna turn in.
Yes.
I'm gonna get some sleep. I've got a long day.
Yes.
Ahead of me too, so I'm gonna have to get going.
Yes, I just want to say thank you for this interview. This was very exciting to me because it's teaching my viewers and subscribers about this experience.
Well, more than likely, you know, people are going to want to get with you with some questions or talk to me about it. If anybody has any questions, you can hit me up. We can do this again.
Yes, I would.
You know what I mean? Take a list to do a Q&A thing.
Okay.
That's fine with me if you want to wait a couple weeks or something and then do it again.
Yeah, I would like that. I would like to do this in a couple of weeks. So you can we both can process the information, and
we both speculated a lot about, you know, stuff. I have a different perspective on things.
Yes.
After going through that.
Yes.
So we speculated a lot about different things. So I want to be clear about that. There's a lot we speculated on.
Yes.
Based on what I went through.
Yes.
But a lot of people are going to want to know, like, what proof? Prove it. You know, like. Yeah, that's fine with me. I can. I'd like to talk about things that are more substantial about what I went through, and just places I found through the Earth experience and whatnot. Wow. And any questions, I'm cool with answering anything. So if anybody wants to know anything, just let me know. And you can be in touch. You know how to get a hold of me if you want to set this up anytime again.
Yes, definitely so. And is there, let's say, if someone wanted to get in contact with you to share more, what
Sure. Well, I'm under my name, Tony Rodrigues, with an S at the end, at Facebook. Okay. And a lot of people have found me there. You can message me there.
Okay.
And you know, it might take a couple days, but I like to just look at people's profile and make sure they're real.
Yes.
They have not two friends, and you know, I like to make sure somebody's real. If it looks like a fake page, I don't accept it anymore. But you can hit me up there or email. I don't think we even emailed. We just went through Facebook. So
I didn't know how I was going to get in contact because you know the text messages that I gave you. And then it dawned on me when I was setting up my this station here. I said, oh, I could do it through Facebook and send you the link, but I didn't know whether it was going to work or not. So it works. I just do what I did today to get in, for you to link, and I would text you to let you know how I'm doing and find out how you're doing, how your family's doing, and everything. Yes. Yeah, I really appreciate this time, and you were very forthcoming, and I respect you in this community, and I think you have a lot to offer, and you come across very sincere, and you have heart, and I respect people who have heart.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, it's been nice to meet you. It's better than what I imagined. You know, I never know what I'm going to get.
Yeah.
Some people hit me with some really shocking stuff for interviews.
Oh, really?
So yeah, it's been a pleasure. It's been a great pleasure. I hope we get to do it again. I'd love to stay in touch. I hope we can become friends from this.
Yes, yeah, I agree.
And then anybody, like I said, anybody that watches this that has questions, I'm more than happy to entertain any questions. I don't like to ask people to. I don't like to force my account on somebody, because in order for most of the populace to believe me, they have to unbelieve something.
Yes.
You know, when you talk about people, you know, just the history of it all. So I don't force it on people. You know, it's hard to swallow.
Yes.
There's a lot of people that have seen my interviews in the past and then were shocked.
Yes.
And, you know, it's a lot to take in at once. But there's plenty of other info. exopolitics.org. There's spherebeingalliance.com.
Okay.
There's earthcitizenconsulting.org. Those are all places that have whistleblowers, guys that have been through 20 and backs.
Wow.
And information on that. And so you can Google it. There's a lot now. There wasn't a lot even 4 years ago. There wasn't a whole lot about the subject.
Wow.
So it's coming out. It's going to move to the mainstream, and it's going to go. A lot of people are going to be shocked when they find out really what's been going on.
Wow. It puts the pieces to it connects the dots together. It makes more sense.
Everybody remembers seeing a gray, and I don't know. They took me on a ship and operated on me, and I don't remember what happened after that. Yep. And then they put me back, and I woke up in my car, and I drove home. I don't know what happened.
Yes.
You were taken on a 20 and back.
Wow.
You did 20 and back.
Oh my God.
You did something.
Wow.
You know, and not everybody. There are a lot of genetic experiments. A lot of people are taken, and there's genetic stuff, a lot of surgeries, but there's a lot of people that did a 20 back and don't know.
Yeah. That I think in our next interview, I definitely want to ask you more about the cloning. And there was an experience that I had incurred about 2 months ago, like in between my sleep states, and I felt like something was messing with me, not in a sexual way, but an examination. I was like asleep, but kind of like half awake, and it was like another part of me that, as if two dimensions were overlapping, and I felt myself lying, in bed like my regular self, but then I felt something in another, as if me in another dimension, lying down and being physically examined. And that lady I told you about before we came on air, who knows about the subject you're talking about, and she was saying that she perceives that they had made a, what do you call it? When you babies, like a breeding program, and that I may have 14 other things from me, children.
It seems to be more popular than what anybody wants to admit.
Yeah.
About what's going on. And I guess the genetic stuff has been postponed or shelved lately. There's treaties, they're rewriting the treaties so that they can come down and deal with those. I guess that's what's going on. But so the genetic programs have supposed to have been halted recently, but I think there's a lot of last minute cleanups going on.
Yeah.
And it's the thing is, there's just so many different things.
Yes.
But we have plenty to talk about next time.
Yes. Thank you again.
I'm going to go cross-eyed here. I got to get some sleep.
Oh, yes. Thank you again. I appreciate your time. You're very valuable.
You're welcome. Thank you so much. It's good to be appreciated like that. And this has been a pleasure. I can't wait to do it again.
Yes, yes. So take care and enjoy.
Okay.
Yes.
Good night.
Night-night. Yes, so that was Tony. Let me change my screen since now he's gone. Let me see. Stop. Okay. Yes, so I'm still here, and yes, I just want to see something here. Oops. Okay. Yes, so that was Tony Rodrigues. And yes, I enjoyed speaking with him. And as you heard, um, we want to definitely continue this conversation. And I apologize that we really didn't get any interviews. And you know, on my screen, I'm on this what they call appear in, and so the regular YouTube window I do not see at all. So yes, I have to resolve that logistics so I can see your comments and everything. But yes, so I appreciate you guys watching, and I hope you learned something like I did with this interview. And I felt it important to do this interview because there is realities out there, and if you just walk around like in a stupor, as I was for most of my life, but knowing that there's something different out there, you know, you you just keep going on. And I was this YouTuber had said, you know, if you want to open up your pineal gland, you just start asking questions. So that they told me that maybe 3 years ago. And so in this spirit journey I've been doing, I've been asking myself questions. Why? And I just fell upon this new genre of information called the Secret Space Program and the Super Soldier Program. And again, I didn't take it seriously, but I just see the world is not what you were taught. So I just want to, you know, encourage you all to ask questions about everything. So, with that last note, again, I thank you, viewers and subscribers who have watched this interview. It's a long interview, but you could look at it in bits and pieces. It's about 3 hours long, um, and ask yourself questions about it. And I definitely want to invite Mr. Rodrigues again as a guest to discuss more. So, with that, I just want to say have a wonderful, wonderful evening. Okay? So, take care and enjoy your evening. Bye bye.